What up, everybody? Good morning and happy Halloween. DK Show up on the air on your radio dials 105.1 FM, 790 AM. Also available online at sportstalk1051.com. You got your Google, Alexa home devices, the Sports Talk app up and we'll download that, and video streams are up and rolled. And YouTube this morning, and something a little bit new too. We got our little we're gonna try this out. We're gonna see if this we can get this thing going, see if this is something we can make stick. Got a little chat room now up and rolling. That link puts it up on Facebook and Twitter. So check it out over there. Join in on the chat room. That way you can talk with other listeners over there on and off the air 24/7. So we'll see how that goes. Let's get some good conversations flowing in over there, shall we? So, but big thanks for tuning or for joining us this morning on this Halloween day here. What do we got on a good old game plan for us this morning? World Series is in the books. The Dodgers taking care of business. Come from behind victory, tied it up. Initially down 5-0, tied it up, down again, but wish it was the Brewers. Dodgers able to get the 7-6 victory and win their World Series. So win the World Series. So Freddie Freeman, no big surprise. MVP, World Series MVP. So, but baseball season now officially in the books, officially over with. So we'll kind of recap that and hit that up and talk a little bit about that. Did it live up to your expectations? Was it kind of nah? I mean, games were okay. I mean, first game especially last night, back and forth in that. But again, for me, I wish it would have went 7 just to extend it out there. But yeah, what can you do? It is what it is at this point. So. What else are we going to chat about here this morning? We'll chat some green and gold. Packers returning to practice yesterday, first practice of this week. And we got our first glimpse of who was available, who practiced, who did not practice. Again, Wednesday, not the be all, tell all. So Jair did not. We got Josh Jacobs, did not. Elton Jenkins, did not. Jordan Love, did not. Josh Myers, nope. Rasheed Walker, no. Evan Williams, no. However, remember Wednesday, it would have been. I mean, if any of those guys would have done anything, that definitely bodes well for their chances to play on Sunday. But Wednesday is not the tell-all day. Today, tomorrow, the biggest days. And Jordan Love did talk a little bit with me yesterday. Said that his groin is definitely feeling better. And when asked how realistic is it for him to play Sunday against the Lions, he said, "I think it's realistic." So, we'll see today once the team gets back out on the practice field and such. But Quay Walker did clear concussion protocol. Matt LaFleur said he will start in the game this weekend against the Lions. So, talk a little green and gold. We got some other comments and quotes from some of the assistant coaches yesterday, including linebackers coach Campanelli, talking about their new linebacker that was added to the practice squad. Jamie Davis said that he talked to him before the 2021 draft, and Campanelli said you can tell why Davis went in the first round after today's practice. And he did say he will play inside linebacker to join them or for them. So we'll talk some gritty golds, and we got Thursday night football tonight. So don't forget to get your picks in for our Pro Football Weekly Pick'em Challenge up at our website, sportstalk1051.com. Just clicking on that Fan Cave tab over there. Bucks are also back in action tonight after dropping their last 3 games. They're going to be taking on the Memphis Grizzlies. No Chris Middleton, so not going to be playing here. But the Bucks looking to end this little losing streak that they're on. They'll be on the road tonight. Tip time 7 o'clock. But as we know, it will be a little bit after that, probably around 7:10 and that. But pregame's going to start at 6:30 on the Radio Dials 105.1 FM, 790 AM. So we'll talk some hoops, talk some Bucks heading into this game against the Grizzlies, and then the Bucks will be taking on the Cavs for their next two games here. Home and away series with the Cavaliers. We'll be back at home on Saturday, on the road, and then back at home next Thursday, a week from today, taking the Utah Jazz. But one game at a time. We'll talk about this Grizzlies matchup coming up here too. So we got that. We'll throw some college football talk in here. Badgers, we're getting, or I should say college sports, Badger basketball. We're getting closer and closer to tip time. I know that kind of creeps up a bit, but Badger basketball last night in their kind of final scrimmage in a tradition that they do, taking on one of the WIAC schools. They played River Falls last night and defeated River Falls, but it was kind of a glimpse though too to see maybe how the starting rotation would look, maybe kind of how a rotation overall would look for the Badger basketball team. And if you look at the last few years, you could kind of connect some dots in terms of who could be those starters and maybe a little bit of the rotation over there. So this was Wisconsin's lone exhibition game, although as we heard RJ Cardinal say, there was kind of maybe a secret one going up against Northern Iowa. But the 5 starters for the Badgers last night in this game against UW River Falls was Max Klesmit, Stephen Krull, John Blackwell, Nolan Winter, and John Tonje. So Badgers will tip off their season coming up on Monday against Holy Cross. So that's when games count, and that's when games matter. Montana State's after that. Appalachian State's after that, and then that big early contest against Arizona, with Arizona coming to the Kohl Center on November 15th. So we'll throw some Badger hoops talk in here with some Badger football chats as well as we get set for the game against Iowa. Also, we got some receive or defer coming at you. That'll be around 7:40, 7:45 this morning. 7:40, 7:45 here this morning. So if you got any suggestions for some receiver defer, definitely hit us up with those. You can hit us up on that texting line at 715-830-1912, that Shoe Doctors bullpen line. Or if you want to join in on the chat room over there too, you can do that as well. So, but also we got some outdoor tidbits. Jake Bulks will be joining us just past 8 o'clock here this morning. Got any questions for Jake? Best way to get those? Hit me up with that text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line. All right. Got any questions for Jake as we approach hunting season here or the deer gun season? Last day of October kind of really kicks into gear for me once we get into November here. And I know it's a little bit later this year, just how the calendar kind of plays out and such. But it's going to be here before you know it. Next few weeks. So, any questions? Now is your time to go ahead and ask those. So, but let's get things going here this morning, shall we? That's your game plan. Let's jump right into it. What else do you want to chat about? What else is on your mind? All right. You got a question, got a topic in mind? Let me know. Send those on over. We'll see if we'll chat a little bit about that. We're gonna kind of talk about everything here in the first hour, a little bit of a smorgasbord here. Wrap up the World Series. Packers back at practice, taking on the Detroit Lions. Where's your vibe? Let's do a little vibe check with this matchup, taking on the Lions. Let's do a little vibe check here. And I know it's probably going to be maybe 2 different vibes. One vibe, let's assume that the main guys are playing. Let's assume Jordan, Jair, Evan are playing. Okay. What's your vibe then? If they're not playing, or if it's just maybe one of those or a couple of those guys, if they don't have their full squad, where's your vibe at with this game against the Lions? Give me a vibe check, Packers fans. Or I know we got some Lions fans who are listening too. What's your vibe check going up against Green Bay in Green Bay? Okay. Give me a vibe. Feeling good, feeling nervous, not confident, cautiously optimistic, scale of 1 to 10, however you want to rate it. Okay. Give me that vibe check here this morning on where you're at with this Packers team heading in or getting set for their game against the Lions this Sunday. So let's get it going, shall we? Let's do it up here. Okay. Take our first break and then we'll get things going here on this Halloween little rather windy, wet, chilly Halloween morning here. We'll talk a little green and gold, talk a little World Series. We've got Bucks chats on the docket and Badgers as well. We're covering everything here this morning, peeps. Let's get at it, pitter patter. Let's get at her. Quick break, and we'll be right back at it in just a couple minutes. It's about that time of year again where we're making our lists of maybe what to get food or what for Christmas this season this year. Maybe think a little outside the box. Whether you maybe are an employer looking for gifts to give all your employees, or maybe you want to get some shirts or tumblers made up for your family or friends, the Residence Branding Company has something for everyone. And if you order from now until November 15th, you mention the code word Casper, they will give you 10% off your order. Check them out today by visiting residencebrandingcompany.com, or you can stop by their shop at 1728 Spooner Avenue, Suite C in Altoona. So again, if you're maybe an employer, maybe you're just thinking about, you know what, it's time to get some new swag, new shirt for my employees. Residence Branding Company can help you out over there. Youth teams, youth leagues, looking for some new jerseys. Hey, they can help you out over there as well. Or maybe you want to get some shirts made up for some fun Christmas gift ideas for your family or tumblers. Residence Branding Company, your place to check out. All right, let's get things going here. Holy crap!
What?
You scared me. Your costume, that's pretty scary looking right now. That face of yours.
Every day
Holy
it's the same.
what the heck? What's on your sleeve there? That deer patch there. What is it?
I bought this. This is a stag. I bought this shirt in Innsbruck, Austria,
Ooh.
and it was up in the ski. You know, they've had the
Mhm.
Olympics in Innsbruck, the Winter Olympics, and there's a lot of mountains around there and these mountain stags. And I was walking through the shopping market in downtown Innsbruck, you know, and the stores, and I saw this hanging outside. I thought, geez, that's really a neat looking
I
shirt.
like that.
So I
like that a
bought
lot.
it. Yeah, it's a nice shirt.
I like that.
2,749. You know what that means?
2,749. I'm assuming it's some Halloween thing.
Yeah, it's the largest pumpkin ever grown.
Oh, geez.
A year ago.
Where at?
Anoka, Minnesota. A horticulture teacher over there, a guy named Travis Ginger, grew it. He broke the old record by 47 pounds. You know what he named it?
What?
Michael Jordan. He called the greatest basketball player of all time and is now the greatest pumpkin of all time. And he, in the center, you know, you got to, when you do this, you don't just plant it and let it grow. He gave his pumpkin extra care. He watered it 12 times a day, and he spent $15,000 on its care and feeding, putting nutrients into it and everything else. 2,749 pounds.
Wow. You know, I know you know him, but I know the former
Mark Holly.
Mark Holly. Yeah, he grows those pumpkins.
He was over in Altoona this year at the big pumpkin.
Oh, was he? Okay.
He comes every year about a month ago. I think he had one this year that was 1,400 pounds.
Wow.
So, but this is.
You should ask him if he invests that much money into his pumpkin.
Yeah, well, you got to take care of them. But Atlantic Giant is the variety that they grow.
Wow.
But Anoka, Minnesota, a horticulture teacher over there, just on Halloween, thought we'd pass that along. So
yeah, I've seen Mark, like some of the photos he posts, like how much care he'll cover them up or so it's,
you got to give them special
it's a process.
nutrients, and you know, you gotta keep them growing, but watering it 12 times a day. I mean, you got to be there. Who's around their garden 12 times a day? Right. Don't you have a life, man? I mean, unless he's got it on an automatic watering system, he might have that. But,
right.
But still, in all, 2000. He drew it in 2023, and I haven't seen anything in 2024 that's bigger than that. So he still has the world record as far as we know. 2,749 pounds. He sent it. It went to New York for the Guinness Book of World Records, sculpted for the world record jack-o'-lantern. Must have to use a chainsaw.
I was going to say,
you can't do that with a steak knife or a paring knife.
There's a lot of pumpkin seeds in there too.
Oh my goodness! And you bet they saved every one of them. I wonder how much they sell those pumpkin seeds for to people that want to grow giant pumpkins. Those seeds are valuable.
Yeah.
I know Mark Holly told me. I talked to him about that one time, and he said, "Oh no, you got to have special seeds. You save those seeds. You take special care of those seeds, and you can make money selling seeds from those giant pumpkins because a lot of people do it."
So you're saying don't pop them in the oven with a little salt on there, and
not from these kind of the little ones you buy and put on your front porch, but not that boy. I'll tell you that. That's probably about one of the seeds of a pumpkin like that, probably about as big as a Big Mac or something.
That's true. Yeah.
You know, a quarter-pound hamburger or something like that. They're big, big, big.
Is Mark trying to break the record? Is that like kind of
he'd
his goal?
love to. Yeah,
Yeah?
he'd love
Okay.
to. Yeah, he's
Yeah, and I see it every year, the process that he puts under on social media.
yeah,
So
yeah, he does
that's
a lot of that.
oh, I know this is one of your favorite nights. You love passing out candy to the kiddos.
I love having the kids
Yep.
come by and talk to the kids and ask them about their contest, their costume, and things like that. And I hope the weather holds so the kids can get out.
Mhm.
And you know, there's some people that I don't mess with. I sit in the back of the house and turn off all my lights. Get a life, people. You know how much also, you know, everybody's oh, the economy's in the tank and we can't afford to do anything. And I don't know how much tickets were to the World Series. Do you know?
I don't know. I'd have to look it up off the top of my head.
Either
Yeah.
LA or New York. But you know how much last year Americans spent on Halloween costumes, decorations, candy?
Mm-mm.
$12.2 billion
Wow.
for one day.
Wow.
I mean, yeah,
One day. Wow.
the
Yeah, I suppose.
the
Yeah, one day.
economy's in the tank.
12.
So,
Wow.
But I don't care how much you spend or whatever, but enjoy it. The kids are out. It's a night for the kids and make the kids happy. They're good
Mhm.
kids out there looking to have some fun.
You know, usually my little guy isn't into trick or treating, but this year he's actually going to go, and I think it's because he's
Good.
going with his friends. So
You
it's kind
bet.
of the, you know, he's
That's
having
when
fun
they
with
have
his
the most
friends now.
fun.
Yep,
You bet.
exactly.
Used to
So,
love to go with 3 or 4 other guys and
mhm.
a couple of gals or whatever it was, and we just go trick or treat and you have fun. You look and you say, "Holy man, we're a mile from home already."
Yep,
But you're just having fun.
exactly.
Hopefully,
So
Mother Nature will cooperate.
absolutely. And if you take the kiddos out there too, be safe. And if you're driving around, be safe too, and pay attention to all the kids out there.
Absolutely.
You know, so World Series, as you mentioned last night, officially in the books. There internally went 5 games. Yankees jumped out to a 5-0 lead, but then the Dodgers tied it up, a little back and forth there, and ultimately Dodgers do win the game. So, I mean, there was some good games, especially the first game. It kind of set the tone when you get a walk-off grand slam from Freddie Freeman, who, yes, won the MVP, which I don't think anybody else deserved it after hitting a home run in every single game besides last night. But um, did it live up to your expectations? Was it a little bit down because it didn't go 7 games for you?
I was a little disappointed in the Yankee performance.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they didn't judge didn't perform like we expect. Of course, neither did Shohei Ohtani either.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the 2 superstars, the most valuable players in each league, you know, that's a given, I think.
Yep.
They didn't perform all that well, but some of the other ones did. It was not a classic World Series by any means.
No.
Not by any means, but classic or not, the Dodgers have the trophy.
Yep. Exactly. They don't care if it was a classic or not. So
it's just so much different. Like, you know, back in the day, who ever heard of a bullpen game?
right.
Like that 4th game,
Mhm.
a bullpen game. And I know we have it in the league now with they got the tight turnarounds. They'll have a bullpen game. But in the World Series, a bullpen game, and I guess maybe that just goes to show you that the Dodgers were better, that they lost the bullpen game, but they came back and Buehler last night. And every time I see him pitch, I laugh because I think, last night was not Buehler's day off. That's for sure.
Nice.
But boy, he came in that 9th inning and he didn't waste any time. I always liked him and Kyle Hendricks for the Cubs.
Mm-hmm.
I really, and Hendricks isn't the pitcher he used to be. Buehler's coming back now. But when they said Ferris
See, now you got Ferris Bueller on your mind.
When they said Buehler was going to come in and pitch the 9th, I thought the way he pitched in the game he started earlier, I thought to myself, I think it's over.
Mm-hmm.
And it was. He didn't mess around at all.
Yep. A couple numbers here with Freddie Freeman. He has an active streak of 7 consecutive World Series games with an RBI, tied for the 3rd longest stretch in history. He has also collected at least 1 hit in each of his 11 World Series games. He did win MVP in 2020, and he becomes the 12th player to win a regular season and World Series MVP. 10 of the previous 11 are in the Hall of Fame. I'll have to find out who the one isn't in the Hall of Fame. Doesn't say right here. So, but we talked about this World Series heading into it. It was like, Ohtani, Judge, Soto, Mookie Betts, forget Freddie Freeman's still on that team too, and I've said it multiple times this week, but Freddie Freeman's a guy I like and I like rooting for.
I love Freddie. He's the kind of guy you want to root for. He does his job. He's very positive. He is just, he's a great role model. He really is a great role model. I have nothing against Ohtani. I think they're all in this World Series. Even Juan Soto, Juan Soto can get kind of cocky and this and that. But even in this World Series, I thought as far as can't say this for the fans in New York, but as far as the players were concerned,
even Aaron Judge is very humble for a guy like that.
Unbelievable. I think the players to be congratulated for being great role models as far as professional athletes are concerned. Judge did not have a good World Series. He struck out. You never saw him after he struck out, like pound his bat on the plate and walk back. He just walked back, and you can know inside it was tearing him up.
Right.
But he never had any outward signs of frustration or anything like that kids or anybody else could pick up on. I thought it was a very professional World Series. Wasn't the best baseball we've ever seen, but I thought it was very well done. And I have to admit, I was, didn't have a rooting interest, but I was rooting for the Dodgers. When it started, I thought, I really don't care who wins. But then as I started watching, I thought, no, I'm a National League guy, and I want the National League to win. So I was rooting for the Dodgers, so I'm glad they won. But I'd had no problem with the Yankees if they'd have won. I'm sure their manager, Aaron Boone, is frustrated about some of the pitching performances he got. But, it wasn't the greatest World Series as far as fielding is concerned. But it was the World Series.
Yeah.
Freddie Freeman deserved the MVP. After that grand slam in the first game, if it won 7 games and the Dodgers won, he was going to win the Most Valuable Player award. It just was, and especially when he kept hitting home runs. But a guy that I think everybody likes.
Yeah, and you go back a little bit, even off the field stuff this season when he had some health issues with his little boy, and he had to miss some time there too, and just to kind of, obviously that's the most important thing, and it sounds like his son's doing well, but to cap off a season like that where stuff that's more important in baseball is on your mind, to cap it off with a championship in a World Series, he's got to feel pretty good. I didn't know this about too until earlier this week when you started to learn a little bit more about Freddie Peralta, but even when he was a kid, he lost his mom to cancer at 10. And he almost
Peralta did?
Or not Freddie Peralta, Freddie Freeman.
Freddie
I'm sorry.
Freeman, okay.
And then he almost lost his dad at the age of 12 due to heart failure. And if there was a story, I was actually watching it. I don't know how old it was, but it was Freddie Freeman that as a 12-year-old, told his dad to go to the emergency room and if he went to go in the emergency room, he would have passed away, and Freddie Freeman would have been parentless at the age of 12. And you hear stories like that, and just to kind of see it. And his dad started to get in shape, and a lot of it was he'd throw BP to his kid after high school baseball practice.
And he did say that. He didn't go into detail about that. He said, but I want to thank my dad who overcame a lot and threw me batting practice all the time. And I didn't know the background of that story till you just said it now. But yeah, it's Freddie Freeman's a great story. Like you said, with his parents and now his own child. Good things.
And there's this was from Atlanta too when he was playing with the Braves, but since it's Halloween, there's that video of him taking I think it's one of his kids, maybe his little boy, trick or treating, and there was a little boy too dressed as Freddie Freeman, and he ran into him, and Freddie Freeman goes up to the kid. He's like, "You dressed as me?" And I don't think the kid realized who it was at first. So he's like, "Let's take a picture together and all that." But I mean, that's stuff like that made that kid's day probably.
And most of these guys are human beings. They grew up, they were kids, they idolized baseball players, football, basketball players, whatever their favorite sports are. And kudos to those that don't forget and haven't forgotten where they've come from and how much it means to a kid growing up to meet an idol.
Yep.
I met Alan Amici once. I thought I was in heaven. It was, it was funny. Speaking of Alan Amici, and a story that when I was a student down at UW-Madison, I went down a lot of university churches down there. St. Paul's is a Catholic church. I was there for Sunday Mass. It was kind of a State Street. It was kind of altar or a church where on the sides it went way up in the balcony and it was kind of steep. And he said the father was a guy I knew from when I was a kid. And he said, now, when you go to the offertory, be careful with our student ushers because you can cause problems. He said last week Alan Amici was in here and he was sitting way up in the top and he put $100 bill in the offering tray and our student usher almost fell out of the balcony. but guys like that, and he just did it quietly. He threw $100 in the offering tray and on and on. But for those guys like that remember where they came from. Amici came from Kenosha, which was not a ritzy town by any means. They had the old Nash Rambler plant down there, if you remember Nash Ramblers, and they had the Jeep before they sold that. But those guys that remember where they came from, like Freddie Freeman walking up to that kid and say, "Hey, you're dressed like me." That means that kid will never forget that. That picture will be on his wall. It's probably blowing up on his wall right now.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Freddie could have just walked on by.
Oh, absolutely.
Not said anything either. So,
yep.
But yep. So that's it's the Dodgers, and as much as we complain about payrolls and monies and such like that, there are players on there too that they're easy to root for, like you said too, on both sides.
Oh yeah,
on both sides there.
I got a little receiver defer. We're gonna when we get to that today. Just thought of it now.
All right.
We'll discuss a little bit.
Sounds good. I'll tell you what, let's take a quick break here. Vibe check, Packers fans. Quite a few of you have already texted in. Where's your vibe check on this Thursday as we get set for Sunday's matchup with the Lions? Actually, I'm a little surprised, but quite a few of you feeling good about this matchup. So text them on in 715-830-1912. Your vibe check for this matchup. We'll tell you if you missed it, who practiced, didn't practice for the Packers and the Lions yesterday. We'll break that down coming up next. If you're driving around your vehicle and you notice in that top left corner of your windshield where you've got that sticker that tells you when your oil change is due, and you notice it's time to get that oil change, make your appointment today with ASAP Used Auto Parts, located at 1330 Menominee Street in Eau Claire. Not only can they help you save some money on some high quality used auto parts, but they're your go-to place when it comes to oil changes and new tires, especially with the winter season coming up here. So if you got to get some new tires to help do some battle against some snow-covered roads here in Wisconsin, ASAP Used Auto Parts is also your go-to location for that. We're going to talk some hoops coming up in the next hour. Bucks are going to be back at it tonight. The Badger basketball team had an exhibition game last night against River Falls before. Remember, their season actually starts on Monday, so that's coming up.
The
here.
regular season?
Yep.
Wow.
Games count starting on Monday. So it says it's their lone exhibition game yesterday, but as RJ Cardinal, when we had him on Tuesday, said there's a little rumor, a little secret going on that they had kind of a secret exhibition against Northern Iowa last week there too, which apparently the Badgers lost. But we'll get you this exhibition because they always do the WIAC team, so it was against River Falls last night. And always kind of gives you a glimpse of what that starting lineup and then what that rotation is going to look like. So we'll tell you who all got into some playing time and what that lineup looked like last night. So Hoops Talk coming up next hour. Before that, though, we'll finish up the first hour with some texts here. Our vibe check here. Jake says, if the main guys are in, nervous, we'll show who we truly are. The main guys are out, chill. We will get a pass, and Can will get kicked down the road. Josh says, I'm confident the Packers will win. Jared Goff hurt his ankle in practice, which could hinder him. Aaron saying he's at an 8, optimistic they can play with them. Last week, the Lions had more return yards than offensive yards against the Titans. Green Bay had more yards than the Lions against the Titans. Why can't they win, especially with the weather? It's going to be a great weather for ground and pound. Heavy dose of Jacobs. Yesterday, practice report here was fairly long for both teams. Jared Goff did not practice, but he said he expects to practice today. Jordan Love on the Packers side, Jordan Love did not practice. He did talk to the media yesterday, said that his groin is feeling much better and said that he wants to play and it's a realistic shot he will play. Others who did not practice, Jair with that knee injury, and then Evan Williams did not participate. Again, remember, Wednesday practice reports, not the tell-all, not the tell-all be-all. Thursday and Fridays are the big ones because if you look at it, actually, the Lions had more players who did not participate in practice yesterday too. A lot of veteran rests out there. So today and tomorrow will be the big indicators. But where's your vibe check on this Thursday? And I get it. It's probably going to be a couple different vibes, whether who plays or who doesn't play in this game on Sunday. Where's your vibe check at?
Nervous.
Yeah.
I'm nervous. You know, they talk about Jacobs. They got 2 running backs that are Montgomery and what's the other guy's name?
Jahmyr Gibbs.
They're both excellent, and I'm not sure about our run defense or our pass defense. I will admit I'm nervous about this game. I really am. I mean, the Lions are for real, and the Packers had a good season. They've got a good season going. There's no question about that. They just can't play early like they did against the Vikings and almost won that game. But they've got to
get in that hole, right?
Can't get in that hole. You just can't get in that hole, and you don't know if Jordan Love has got to take better care of the ball. I mean, he's still growing into the position. I know that, but some of the balls he throws, you think, what are you doing? Not as bad as the Wisconsin quarterback, but he's got to take better care of the ball. And, I think there's opportunity there. I would say it's 60-40 Lions.
Yeah.
For me.
Okay. That's actually a little bit closer than I thought. I was thinking maybe I'll be honest. I'm pretty darn nervous,
I am too. I just don't want to see them fall on their face to start the game.
Right. Exactly. You don't want them. You got to be happy though too. The last couple of weeks they've won a toss and they've received it.
Yeah.
You've had every time now that happens, I think of you right away. That when they've won it, the Packers have said, "Yeah, we want the ball right away." So
Yeah, and I always think, what's your best unit? And it always used to drive me. Well, I've talked about this many times. Drove me nuts. Aaron Rodgers is your quarterback. Your defense isn't worth a tinker's, and they defer. The Tampa Bay game in the playoffs is the one that really grinds my gears of all the games. They gave the ball to Tom Brady. He went down the field, scored a touchdown. Packers were never in that game. I hate that. It's not automatic, but I think you got to consider the situation. And in that case and other cases, when your defense is one of the worst in the league, and you're putting them on the field first, giving them another exposure on the field, I don't think that's smart.
Mm-hmm.
And I won't say that now because I don't have a problem with the Packers taking the ball. I can understand having the ball at start the third quarter. If you've got a defense you can put out there, you got a Baltimore defense or a Pittsburgh defense or something like that, I'm going for it. But the Packers at this point aren't to that level yet.
And I'm wondering, this just could be overthinking it too, but for how well the Packers defense has played in the second halves of this year, does that factor into it where they don't have a problem starting off on defense in the second half? Because they've been very good in the second half.
Outside of the last 6 or 7 minutes of a game when they let them come back. But
you mean the Jacksonville one?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jacksonville was standing there, but before that, I mean, that's been 3 points. I think the most they allowed was 6 or 7.
Oh yeah, there's no
the
question they're
half.
better in the second half. But your best unit should be on the field as often as you can get them on the field, and
that's one thing too with this offense. With Love under center, they seem to be a little bit more of the time of possession, 6-7, wanting the ball for 6, 7, 8-minute drives.
Mm-hmm.
Not as quick with the big hitters like Rodgers, in the past and such. But
boy, what do you think about they play tonight?
Yeah, against the Texans.
If they don't win this game, they're
done already.
They might. Well, I think so too. They might blow that up.
Trade deadline's Tuesday. I don't know. That yeah.
I mean, Davante Adams, how happy is he that he's in New York? Gosh, these guys, when you talk about the best receivers in football, Davante Adams is still one of them, but he's not talked about anymore.
Mm-hmm.
As one of the best receivers in football. I'd love to have him back on the Packers, but that's not going to happen. But that move that he made going to the Raiders. Now he's with the Jets. Who knows where he's going to end up next year, because he's not going to be a Jet next year. Is this going to cost him the Hall of Fame? Because he was on Hall of Fame path.
Yeah.
I think
that's fair. I think that's fair. He's same draft class as Mike Evans. And we were actually, I think it was last week, Luke and I were looking at numbers like this. And he's not far off of Evans is still up there, but I think Evans is a Hall of Famer. He's one of the most underrated players in the league right now.
Yeah, I agree with you.
But I think it could.
You still got to get hype. Davante Adams is getting no hype at all. Nobody. I don't care what program you listen to or watch when they start talking about receivers and this, that, and the other thing. Nobody brings up Davante Adams anymore. The only time he made headlines is when he got traded to the Jets.
For this year, yeah.
I mean, he's just unfortunate. I like Davante Adams. I wish he was still a Packer, but the decisions, and it's a decision they had to make. He left for money. I can understand that. Did he? How much money do they need? I guess is the question, but that's topic for another day.
Well, and that's the thing too, is like you can't get mad if it's not working out well. Your team's not playing well. You got to know the situation. That's where you look at some of these teams right now. It's players and talent, absolutely, but you look at the organizations and coaching structures of all these right now. Green Bay, I don't care. Green Bay won that trade with of Aaron Rodgers shipping them off to the Jets and all that. I mean, you look at coaching and franchise stability with all this stuff. I mean, the Jets, I think for right now, are the worst team of all time, where they've got so much talent. They should not be 2-6.
No,
they should, but it's franchise and it's coaching.
And
it's the egos and the
yeah,
players
thank you.
over there. But that's the structure they allowed to happen.
What would
The
it
Jets
take? But
allowed that to happen.
what would it take these last few years with Aaron Rodgers when he was with the Packers? Let's face it, he was not on the same page as LaFleur. He just as a
And I
coaching
think
staff. Now what? And so you say the coaches in the organization. So you got three: the coaches, the organization, and Aaron Rodgers.
mhm.
Percentage of fault for those three: 33% for each one of them, or do you think some have more responsibility and failure than others?
I think I actually was talking about this the other day. I would love to know, and I don't know if you'd ever admit it, and it kind of bugs me because not bugs me, but I question it. I think it's fair to say Aaron never he never bought into what LaFleur wanted to do offensively. Like that Shanahan offense makes it easier on quarterbacks. That's the whole goal of it. And we know Aaron, that's not the style he wanted. He wanted to beat people with his mind, right? He wants to line up, nobody's in motion. He wants to try to outsmart you. You look at and that's what they're doing with the Jets, and it ain't working. Like why wouldn't you want to make it easier on yourself? Yes, I know he won MVPs and he put up numbers and all that, but if he fully bought into what they were doing, how different would those years with LaFleur been?
Oh, I think they've been a lot different. I mean, there's no question there was conflict,
Mm-hmm.
and I give LaFleur a lot of credit for taking the high road
Mm-hmm.
because even after Rodgers left, he never said that, well, we had problems getting along, or he didn't buy into the system, or we didn't jive. You know, he had his way of getting around all
LaFleur
that.
said, a lot of us have jobs because of him. You're right. He took the high road of it,
Yeah.
and he's right to an extent too. I mean, look, Rodgers helped out a lot of people, made some paychecks and that.
When he came in, and you got Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback, it's not like you're going to the Cleveland Browns,
right?
to try
Especially
and
as a
win.
first-time head coach.
Yeah, exactly. And you got Aaron Rodgers there. You respect what Aaron Rodgers knows about the game.
Mm-hmm.
But again,
I think initially those two helped out each other a little bit.
Yeah,
but
there's definitely, in Rodgers' case, the superiority complex,
mm-hmm.
and that doesn't necessarily jive well when you're not the coach, you're the quarterback,
Mm-hmm.
and you got to work with a coach. And I don't think Rodgers anymore wants to. It's his way or no way.
Right.
It seems to be in New York.
That's
and
where
it's not working out. I feel sorry for Hackett because he's been a ping pong ball and all this stuff. First, when he went to Denver with Russell Wilson, now he comes back to New York, and he's been demoted for the New York Jets. Where is he? When Rodgers leaves, Hackett's gone too. Hackett's probably gone after this year. Where is he going to go get a job outside of being maybe a receivers coach? No longer head coach, no longer offensive coordinator, no longer a play caller. You might coach wide receivers or tight ends or something like that. But his career with any kind of arrow upward is over.
Mm-hmm. And that's where I know it's maybe not the greatest comparison, but you look at a guy like Brady. When he went to Tampa, Bruce Arians still wasn't afraid to be hard on him because Brady wanted to be coached, and Brady embraced it. He still won a dang Super Bowl over there. I don't think Rodgers has that personality a little bit.
I think Brady respected the experience, the mind, the mental capacity of a lot of these great coaches. And Arians was a great coach. He finally got a quarterback he could coach. I don't think Aaron Rodgers thinks any of these coaches are as smart as he is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's one of the problems. And if you're the coach, you got to deal with that. Because you got the best player in the game, as of a few years ago. So you got to accept, some of that stuff. But boy, that's got to be hard.
Because I'm glad you kind of mentioned that, because do you remember who the offensive coordinator was for Brady with the Buccaneers?
It
was Byron Leftwich.
Yeah, I mean, over the years he had Charlie Weiss.
Well, I'm talking with the Buccaneers.
Oh, with the Buccaneers. Yeah,
with the Buccaneers.
Yeah. Who was a quarterback that wasn't all that good.
Exactly. So when you said, with the whole Aaron smarter, I think everybody probably assumes Tom Brady knows a little bit more. And Byron Leftwich was getting talked about for head coaching jobs, but there was that respect there a little, like, well, I'm not going to try to overpower you or, try to go over your head essentially. And change plays like Rodgers would always
No,
do.
but some guys it takes a while to find their niche.
Mm-hmm.
Byron Leftwich probably wasn't the best quarterback,
Mm-mm.
but as a coach, he's probably pretty good as far as strategizing, seeing the game from the sideline, the coaching point of view. So found his niche.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think Brady helped him out though too by
Oh,
not
no
making it
question.
harder on him.
Yep.
You
Oh,
know, and
yeah.
because it's got to be intimidating to coach a guy like that.
Boy, does
I'm
it
calling
ever.
plays for Tom Brady. I better get this
Me
right.
working with you is intimidating.
You better be. Second hour kicking off on this Halloween Thursday. A big thanks for tuning in wherever, however you may be tuning in from. We're going to talk some hoops coming up here in just a little bit. We got receiver defer at the back end of this hour. Also, outdoor tidbits with Mr. Jake Boakes a little over an hour from now. So if you got any questions for our DNR warden buddy, make sure you text those on over via that Shoe Doctors bullpen line at 715-830-1912. Before we kick off this hour, a little throwback Thursday. A couple of events happened on this day in history. 1950, Earl Lloyd of the Washington Capitals became the first African-American to play in an NBA game. And 1968. What were you doing this day in 1968? In school, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Well, the Bucks won their first game ever today, 1968.
Yeah, and I was excited for those Bucks teams. I remember some of those early guys that played on those teams, little left-handed forward, Greg somebody and
Greg Smith.
Yeah, Greg Smith
Yep.
and
Wayne Embry.
Wayne Embry was there playing center, and it was and the nice thing about it, they didn't play all their games in Milwaukee. They'd come to Madison playing at the Dane County Coliseum, where the Badgers started out hockey and, site of World Area Expo, but they'd put the basketball floor in there, and they could put, probably with basketball, about 10,000 people in there. And we'd always go to those games, and it was fun watching those guys play.
Nice.
They had Eddie Doucette in the toaster, and he created a lot of sayings in basketball. But that was a fun team to watch because they played hard.
So they defeated, for their first victory, they defeated the Pistons by a score of 134-118.
Play defensive ball like the current Bucks.
3 players for the Bucks on that team scored 20 or more points. Wayne Embry led all scorers with 30. Dave Gamby scored 23. John McLaughlin scored 22 for the Bucks. The leading scorer for the Pistons that night, Dave Bing, with 29 points. So
who went on to be, I believe he went on to be the mayor of Detroit.
No, nice. A little more nuggets right there. I like it. So, but yeah, that's a little of your throwback Thursday stuff there. We'll hopefully for another win for the Bucks tonight. This time against Memphis, though.
What's their record right now?
1-3.
I was going to say, what a disappointing start.
Yeah,
and it's not the 1-3 record disappointing. It's the way they've been playing.
Well, I mean, I think we were talking about after their win last week, and like, oh, that's the Dame. We were kind of excited to see, and they haven't won since.
No.
And that's losses against the Nets, the Bulls. And their latest loss was against Boston on the road there, too. But it's like the Nets and Bulls ones, really.
I watched part of that Bulls game, and I thought, this is the most pathetic effort. They ought to be embarrassed the way they played against the Bulls. I didn't see the Nets or the Celtics game because I knew they weren't going to beat the Celtics the way they've been playing, the way they started in the season. But where I really have concern now is the way they played the Bulls. If this is going to be that kind of an effort that they give.
It's frustrating. It's
only 4 games.
It is only 4. I had this question yesterday. If there was something you could change, one of the moves that the Bucks made the last couple of years that's
easy,
you could change, what would it be?
Drew Holiday would never have left town.
So no Dame, and you'd keep Drew?
Yep.
Okay.
I think Drew Holiday is more of a Damian Lillard's a great player. Don't get me wrong. I'd like to have him on the team. But Drew Holiday gives you so much. He can score. He can play defense. He can handle the ball. He can activate the offense. He can, he can play that defensive guy. When they let him go, I said, that's a mistake. Little did I realize how big a mistake it was. Boston wouldn't have won the championship last year without him.
Coaching wise, do you think they made a mistake moving on from Bud?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm not impressed with their current coach at all. It's like
Doc
Rivers doesn't know what to do. I mean, he knew they didn't play defense last year. You thought, well, they'll They're not playing defense this year.
Mhm.
What's it going to take? I don't know.
Yeah, did they make a mistake letting go of Griffin right away when he was 30-13?
Yeah, that probably too. But I
There was a
didn't.
weird feel though, right, with
Yeah,
it? Yeah.
and I didn't, whether he didn't get along with the players or what the feel was for that. I have no feel for that at all. So, it's hard to comment on that because you didn't know the guy, you didn't coach before, you didn't know much about him. So why they did it, I don't know what the reasoning was. I don't remember what they said was the reason. When a guy's got a record like that, why you'd let him go? There's something under the surface that we don't know.
Yeah, I think there were some reports out there, and I think a lot of it too, it just, it boiled down to the championship team, and at that point, they hired Adrian Griffin before they brought Dame in, so it felt like, okay, it was that a right, mixture over there too, but then the whole Terry Stotts, quitting a week before,
That
and,
was a puzzling one right there.
mhm. Yeah. And it's just like, I think that's what a lot of people got excited too because of the success he had with Dame when he was Portland's coach, and they were
Yeah.
making those postseason runs with Dame over there. So that was disappointing to see that happen.
The thing that bothers me is, you look at some teams in the NFL and their management. You've got, Indianapolis has been a dumpster fire. Cleveland has been a dumpster fire. Jacksonville. You can go on and on with some of these. Even Dallas, Dallas. You wonder, are the Bucks in a management crisis right now where they don't have a leader who really knows what they need to do to move forward and be more successful? And when you've got players like Damian Lillard and Giannis on your team, you don't want that to be the case. You want to have somebody that can see the big picture and move forward. Because when you got that kind of talent, you certainly don't want to waste it. And again, after 4 games, it looks like they're wasting that talent because they don't seem to be on the same page on either end of the court. And so that's my concern, that we don't become a basketball version of the Cleveland Browns.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of where my mind was going too. Is like, is it a management thing? And is it, you're trying to figure out, because I don't think Doc Rivers is going to get fired this year. They've made so many moves of that, and I know a lot of money's already being paid to a lot of coaches. You wonder if the next guy to be made to move is it John Horst, the general manager, for some of the moves. I don't know. I really don't know how to predict this thing.
I don't either, and I don't know if Doc Rivers is bulletproof. I'm surprised to hear you say that, because after the first 4 games, if this trends for 25, 30 games into the season, I don't know if he's bulletproof or not. You don't think he can get fired?
I don't think he's going to get fired this year, unless it's like they have like 2 wins or 3 wins, or it's just something. I don't think he is.
Well, they haven't got 2 wins yet.
No, I don't think he is. And I know maybe it's different because they got Darvin Ham back on staff, who the players apparently just really love and respect. And I don't know. I at this point, I think Doc was the guy they wanted. They got him, and they're going to let it ride.
But I question, what's he coaching? What is his coaching philosophy? That's, a lot of these guys, what their philosophy is. He's a defensive coach, or he's an offensive guru, or whatever the case may be. What is Doc's claim to fame? I mean, he won an NBA title because he had superior talent. Superior talent this year, maybe not as in his championship year with the Celtics, but I don't know what his coaching style, what his coaching philosophy is, because he doesn't do anything to stop some of these runs. They're ahead, and all of a sudden, now they're behind, and he hasn't done anything to try and stop that or stem that tide. I'm not sure what his coaching philosophy is. It befuddles me.
I think a lot of it too is just Bucks team just looks really old. They got old quick with some of these guys.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
I don't like, I don't know if that's the style that works in this NBA. Like, the thing that still worries me is transition defense and defense. Like, Brooks a good player, but is he the right player for this current NBA? Where he's a good post defender, interior defender, but you got guys now that play on the outside, and Brook can't defend the outside.
And all you had to do is watch last night, Oklahoma City and San Antonio. They got 2 big boys that are very, very skilled outside.
And Brook can shoot there, but he can't defend out there.
No.
If you're gonna miss your mid-range stuff, we saw it in the playoffs last year with the Pacers. You miss your mid-range in that's feast for the Pacers to get out and run. And that's what they burned them how many times last year
Yeah.
with that?
And is it a front office deal? Because Boston knows that they've got Tatum and Brown,
Mhm.
and now they've got Drew Holiday. But they figured that's not enough. They went out and got Porzingis, and he was hurt a lot and is still hurt to start this season. But he was a difference maker in their championship run last year. There's no question about it. Plus, they got Horford. They went out and got the players that they needed. The Bucks don't do that.
And you got a guy named Peyton Pritchard who comes off the bench and hits
Yeah.
8 3-pointers against you
Yeah,
the other night.
Yeah,
Scores 30 points off the bench for you.
I know it. And he's a hustle player.
Yeah.
He's really a hustle player.
He's that guy
not
that
the most
annoys you
skilled.
unless
Yep,
he's on your
yep.
team.
Yeah, he's not the most skilled by any means,
Mm-mm.
but by golly, he'll out hustle you. And there's a lot to be said for
Oh,
hustle.
yeah. Yep. He's
In that
one of those
sport,
guys.
In that sport, it really is. Basketball, you can really make a difference if you're,
Mhm.
and what the Lakers had a guy a few years ago, the guy with a headband, and then he went to Chicago. Did he play last year? The kid with the headband, Caruso.
Oh, Alex Caruso. Yeah. Yep.
I mean, he was
Mhm.
probably not the most talented NBA player by far,
Mhm.
but he created a spot for himself by hustling and working hard.
Mhm.
And those guys, there's a place for those guys. And the Bucks, I don't think the Bucks have that kind of a guy in this team right now.
Yeah. To me, Bobby is he's a good player, but can be inconsistent at times on the offensive
absolutely,
end.
absolutely.
I just, it almost depends on what night Bobby's having. Really.
Mhm.
So, yeah, but because the thing I think maybe I'm a little bit more nervous about too is now the talking heads are just going to keep going with the whole, well, see, this is what we were worried about before the season started. Everybody's paying attention to the Bucks. Everybody in the NBA is watching the Bucks to see what happens to them this year. And if it goes bad, Giannis is going to leave and all that. And it's like, that's just going to get louder and louder and louder.
No question about it.
So, tip time tonight. This is the other thing that bugs me about the NBA. And I will say this. Why can you not start your games on time? They always say it's 7 o'clock, but then it's like 7:12 or it's 6 o'clock or then it's 6:15. You have a dang scoreboard. High school it, middle school it. You got the countdown. They never start on time.
I would think the networks would be unhappy with that.
Started on time. I know it's a running joke on social media, but for crying out loud, how is it so impossible to start a game on time? For crying out loud. I mean, you remember probably. Okay, look at the time scoreboard. You get the little 2-minute beep of the horn or something like that.
But don't you think among the major sports, and I'm talking football, basketball, baseball, hockey, basketball players are the most aloof as far as not really caring what everybody else thinks, what the public thinks, or we'll start at 6 o'clock. Well, I'm not quite ready yet, so it'll be 4 more minutes. I think basketball players are more aloof and don't pay attention to the details like other sports do.
Yep. We'll talk some more hoops. We're going to talk some Badger hoops, though. Switch it up here a little bit because Badger basketball tips off Monday. Believe it or not, it's coming up.
And I know nothing about the squad.
Yeah,
I know some of the guys, Crowell, some of those guys coming back.
There's one starter. I'm going to say his name coming up here in a little bit, and you're probably going to be like, who? So, AV. So, I'll switch it up because that season's starting up here. What you think about it? It's going to be November tomorrow, so you got even Thanksgiving tournaments and all that stuff. So, but quick break. We'll continue some hoops talk, but Packers fans, continue to send me your vibe checks. Where are you at on this game on this Thursday morning against the Lions? Feeling good? Feeling nervous? What you got? With today being Thursday, we can also call it Friday Eve, which means if you're thinking about your Friday fish fry, one of the best traditions in Wisconsin, look no further than the VFW Post 305, located on Star Avenue in Eau Claire. Go check it out. Or if you're maybe still hankering for some breakfast here this morning, you can go check out the VFW Post 305. Go get that taco omelet. It is absolutely amazing over there. Their whole menu is absolutely amazing. So, but tomorrow, if you're trying to think about where to go with the family for your Friday fish fry for the first Friday in November, VFW Post 305. All right. We got Badger basketball. It's going to be starting here on Monday. Believe it or not, the season's starting. As we know, too, earlier in the week, it was announced that Bo Ryan will have his name put up in the rafters on a banner on November 15th when Arizona comes to town, because they're going to be honoring the Final Four teams there. But with Bo Ryan getting in the Hall of Fame, they're going to be putting his name up in the rafters up there. So that's November 15th, which will be the fourth game of the season for the Badgers at that point. But they begin on Monday against Holy Cross. Next Thursday, Montana State. And then on Sunday, November 10th, it'll be Appalachian State. But the Badgers exhibition game yesterday against UW River Falls, which always go up against a WIAC team there. They defeated River Falls 78-62. Here is your starting lineup, and as it was Benjamin Wargel, who covers the Badgers too, noted after the starting five was announced. He said in 5 of the last 6 seasons, the starting 5 for the Badgers' final exhibition game started the season opener. So there's a good chance that this is going to be your starting 5 for the Badgers. Names you probably know: Stephen Kral over there. Nolan Winter was a freshman last year for the Badgers. So got a little bit of height up in the front court because Nolan Winter is listed at 6'11". So 2 big guys up there. And then Max Klesmit. Also, we know him, but 2, well, I should say newcomers. John Blackwell last year was a freshman that we saw some good glimpses of, and there's a lot of
with Chucky Hepburn going, he'll get a lot of time.
Yep, there's a lot of expectations and high hope for him this year too, especially with no AJ Storr here this as well. And then John Tonje. No doubt, John Tonje. He's a 6-year senior, third team, medical redshirt. He spent last year with Missouri. Only played in 8 games, 4 starts at Missouri before a foot injury forced him to sit out the rest of the season. He applied for a medical redshirt. Before that, it was 4 seasons at Colorado State. So he is a 6'5" guard, and he actually led the team in scoring last night for the Badgers. So new name over there, but John scored 15 points. Stephen Kral had 14 points. Badgers went 11 of 32 from the 3-point line in the game too. So that was your starting lineup, and probably a glimpse of what it will be to open up the season.
What happened to all these guys you were talking earlier that Guard was going the international route, recruiting international players? None of those guys sound like they're international players.
I'm just kind of looking at some of the first subs. Kamari McGee was one of the first subs. We know a little bit about him. Marcus Ivor came in too. Then Daniel Freitag, the young freshman that Badgers are really excited about. Xavier Amos also came in there too. So, but going with a little bit of experience with the starting rotation right now.
Does he have any foreign players on that roster? I mean, you just mentioned 5 starters and 2 or 3 or 4 other guys, and none of those sounded like they're the foreign players that he was getting credit for recruiting as a way to deal with the transfer portal and NIL and all that sort of stuff.
Riccardo Greppi, that's my best Italian that I can do, but he's from Italy. He's a freshman this year. But he's listed at 6'10", 255, so a bigger freshman over there.
He can play.
Marcus, as I mentioned, Ilver is from Estonia, and he is a senior. So Marcus was in the rotation last night too. So yeah, a couple of across the pond foreign players.
Well, you can't at this point in time, you don't know how well they're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully they will do well and come together as a team. You know, they lost some players, graduation, transfer, as every team does, and hopefully they made up for them.
I want to bear with me how I ask this question, but considering how, as we've talked about many times, the state of college sports and all the different factors going into it, does Greg Gard get? I don't know how else to phrase it, but does he get a little bit more of a pass in terms of what we should expect for this Badger basketball team, considering the state of basketball, considering the state of college basketball, NILs, transfer portals? Because, the last few years, there's been some Badger fans who have said, okay, maybe we need a new head coach. We got to get better talent. We got to be playing better. Tony Bennett just retired because of everything going on in college basketball.
Had enough.
Yeah. So does Gard get a little bit of more?
Saban quit football. Had enough.
Yeah. Big name Jay Wright retired a couple of years ago.
Had enough.
Does he get a little bit more? Are we relaxed a little bit on that talk because it's so hard and different now in college basketball?
And I think you have to give these coaches a little bit more wiggle room, for lack of a better way to put it, because I don't think the people above them in the athletic department have a good handle on what's going on with NIL and with the transfer portal and where they're getting money from, how they're going to dedicate that money. And I know there's been some things at the university level now in college sports as far as getting that money, where that money can come from. I mean, this is like the Wild West right now.
Right.
You think of years ago and SMU got the death penalty and, some of these other things that have gone on. Teams have been suspended from postseason play. That's what they did, was compared to what's going on now and what's legal now. That's minor. It's nothing. It's unbelievable how it's changed. So I think the athletic departments, not just the coaches, the coaches are in the headlights.
Mm-hmm.
I think the athletic directors, the assistant athletic directors, the office above has to come into play here too, because I don't think very many schools have a complete grasp on this whole thing. I know Wisconsin doesn't. I don't think these athletic directors, and it's not their fault. It's just that, things are happening so fast, moving so fast, and where are the guardrails for the rules and regulations? I don't think there are enough guardrails right now, and it is just literally what you can get away with. You never used to talk that way because the NCAA was all over. If you tried to get away with it, gave out too many scholarships or allocated your funds the way the NCAA didn't like it, they came down on you. Now it's nothing. Now anything goes pretty much. And I think you can't put all the blame on the coaches for that.
Right. Yeah. So, here's the thing. I don't want to be in their position right now.
Oh, I don't either.
The fact that, we saw with Wisconsin AJ Storr leaving, Chucky Hepburn, which surprised, I think, a lot of people when you got to factor in.
And then we talked about that story, how that came about. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But you look at Hafley.
Leaving a head coaching job.
Why did he leave a head coaching job at Boston College, which is a good job in a very vibrant city, Boston, to come to the Packers as a defensive coordinator? Now, that's a nice position to have, don't get me wrong. But I'll bet if you sat down with him and say, well, how much of it was a chance to coach in the pros as a coordinator versus how much of it was the frustration of having to deal with the situation in college sports right now?
Oh, yeah.
I'll bet they're probably on an equal plane.
Well, even look at Chip Kelly taking, leaving a head coaching job at UCLA to take Ohio State offensive coordinator.
Yeah, good point.
Just to take a little bit of that pressure off.
Yep. And so I don't think you can put all this on the coaches. I don't think at all. And I know Gard went in there a year or two ago and said, where's my NIL money? McIntosh more or less told him, we don't have money for you. It's football money. Now that's getting taken care of. And so Gard has some money. He's got to raise. These guys got to go out and raise their own money. They never had to do that before.
Right.
And they had scholarships. You gave them scholarships. Remember what a big deal it was here a few years ago when they opened up the training table
Yeah.
So you could eat these scholarship athletes could eat pretty much any time of the day rather than just at their meal functions.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was a major breakthrough. It's just unbelievable how this is just a snowball has turned into a avalanche going downhill.
Right.
The way this stuff is moving so fast, it's really changing, and I don't think it's all. We're not even near the finish line yet.
And this is where, I don't know if it'll work out, but I give credit to Greg Gard for not only going, across seas and trying that, but you look at his coaching staff. Yes, Kirk Penny's on there again this year, who is part of this influence of trying to get some more, players from across all different countries. But also a couple moves he made on his staff. Remember this year, a new assistant coach is Lance Randall, who has over 250 wins as a head coach at the D2 and D3 levels, which you might have to tap into it here a little bit, but you're getting experience from that guy. But also, your new director of player development is a former Badger, but a ton of time in the NBA, Greg Steetzma. So you're bringing in some guys with that type of experience. I give Gard credit for trying to do something to try to change and adapt to these times.
And that's another thing that these head coaches have to do. Okay, you've got an assistant. Years ago, you had an assistant coach. Oh, the Bulls were a good example.
Mm-hmm.
They had Tex Winter as an offense.
The triangle guy.
Yeah,
yep.
the triangle guy. And who was the other guy that coached the defense?
Mm-hmm.
Now, in college, you don't have that. You just came up with titles they never had before.
Right.
So they've got to these head coaches have to define their coaching staff and what their actual responsibilities were going to be, how recruiting has changed.
Mm-hmm.
You don't go into a recruit's front room and sit with his folks and say, we're going to get you a good education. We're going to get you on the best path to a college education, and hopefully maybe we can develop you into a pro prospect. No, now you go in there, and I'm sure, and I don't know, I've never sat on the couch with them nowadays, but I'm sure it's, we got this much for NIL for you. And if you come into our program, we got this kind of money and where you can live and how we'll support you this way. And it's all changing. So these coaches have to come up with new titles and new responsibilities for these assistant coaches. And the assistant coaches that came in there, Krabbenhoft came in there as a shooting coach. He's got more responsibilities than just being the shooting coach now. So everything is changing so much that it's hard to follow. And the head coach, besides being the head coach, he's a corporate manager now.
Mm-hmm.
He's got to take care of his staff. He's got to, do it the right way as far as delegation of duties and titles. And what kind of a title do you give a guy? And every time you add something onto the title, you give him more money. And I can see, we've talked about the guys that have quit.
Yeah.
And I think that's the same story. I'd like to know if the women's basketball coach at Iowa, Bluter, did she quit? She quit at a great time, retired at a great time with Caitlin Clark gone now. Great time for her to retire. But how much of her retirement was just that? We had a great run. I'm tired. Caitlin Clark, it was quite a career for her. But to deal with all this stuff nowadays, does she want to do it? Or would she have, if it had been the old system without NIL, without the transfer portal, some of these coaches retired. Well, she had a great career. Yes, she did. But was she ready to retire, or she said, I don't want to put up with this anymore?
Mm-hmm.
You hope it's the former, not the latter.
Right. Yeah. Yep. So, and that's the one thing too, I hope it benefits Wisconsin, these guys like Greg and Kirk, and that they've got that experience. For Kirk, obviously being foreign player and playing overseas, Greg in the NBA, but they're also former Badgers, so they understand, okay, it's a little bit different at Wisconsin. It's not Duke or anything like that or something like that. But
it can't be the way it was.
No, it can't be the way it was.
When they played.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Different world. These
right.
guys are coming
but
into
I'm saying,
it.
but they're still, they can't compete with the Dukes or the, Kansases or anything like that. So they understand that philosophy. You know what I mean? Like, you're not bringing in this guys like, well, why can't we have all this money? That's it's Wisconsin.
And it'd be interesting, and I don't know if they have to report this, how much money each of the schools devote to NIL, to players coming in from the transfer portal. I mean, can we get a salary schedule more or less for these players
Mm-hmm.
and what they're getting, what Duke is paying? I mean, we know that the guy, what's his name, Shore, that went to, or
AJ Store.
AJ Store went to Kansas. He wanted $1 million. Self, the report is he wanted $1 million, and Self said, "You're not getting $1 million. I got 700,000 for you. Take it or leave it." So and that's obviously he took whatever it was. Was it 700 or not? I don't know.
I think it was 750. Yeah.
750, something like that. But do we have a reporting schedule of what the salary is of the Kansas team versus the salary of the Wisconsin team? I'm sure there's a lot of, because let's face it, if he's getting 750 out at Kansas, there are a lot of players that are getting more than that at Kansas, and I'd be surprised if anybody on the Wisconsin team is getting $500,000.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Chucky Hepner went to Louisville for like $700,000 because he said, "My family needs this," and Guard says, "Go," because you're not going to get it here. So, what is the salary schedule? And if you're a player coming up nowadays, that makes a difference.
Mm-hmm.
It really does. Like Hepner said, my family needs that money.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like to see a reported salary schedule, and I don't know if they do such a thing, or if they say, "Well, we really don't have a salary schedule." Yes, you do,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know if it's ever going to be published, or if it is published, I haven't seen it.
Yep. All right, we got to take a quick break, and time for a little receive or defer to finish up the second hour. Again, don't forget, get your questions in for Mr. Jake Boakes, our conservation warden buddy, as we are inching closer and closer to the deer gun season. I know the DNR had sent out some of those dates and info on that too. So again, any questions, text them on over. If you're in need of updating your flooring in your home or maybe your workspace, work office, or anything like that, go visit our good friends at Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire. Whether it's carpet, tile, luxury vinyl planks, you name it, they got it all. Shower tiles, especially if, with Halloween, if your shower tile is a little scary looking because they're old and outdated, you turn on the bathroom light and it kind of freaks you out. Head on over to Carpet City Flooring Center, and they can work with you to not only find what will look the best, work the best, but also work within your budget. Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire. All right, time for a little receive or defer. We'll see. It's a little throwdown here. We'll see who wins this one. What you got there, big boy?
Receiver defer. Dave Roberts is the best manager in baseball right now. And I mean, just won the World Series, so obviously he's on a high. But when you look at it, the way he managed this World Series and the series against San Diego, I was very impressed with this guy.
I think you have to say it right now. Yeah, probably.
Doesn't hurt to have,
big payroll and all that.
Three guys leading your lineup, but the way he moved his pitching staff around, I mean, they lost that fourth game, but he kind of expected that.
Well, I think a lot of us said, before the season started, you bring in Ohtani and you sign these guys. It's like, great. Also, the pressure's on the manager. You better win with that roster. And, well, he won it.
Yep, he did.
He did. So, credit's due.
Receive or defer. The Braves made a bigger mistake by letting Freddie Freeman go than the Bucks did by letting Drew Holiday go.
Receive. I'm going to receive that.
Yeah.
That was a huge loss, losing Freddie Freeman.
Yeah,
especially when he didn't want to go.
He didn't want to go, and it's not like the Braves are a small market team.
Right.
They're in Atlanta. They had the money to sign him.
Mm-hmm.
They got the kid that came in from Oakland, did a nice job, but only for one season. This year, Olsen was not very good at all. So I agree. And I heard you and Luke kind of talking about this. I was in and out and didn't hear the whole context of what you were talking about. But as far as coach and player.
Oh, the quarterback and NFL quarterback and head coach.
Well, I looked at it, expanded it a little bit more. And in my lifetime, receive or defer as far as the best coach player duos ever. Receive or defer. And you didn't see him, of course, but I did. Red Auerbach and Bill Russell were better than Belichick and Brady.
Ooh. That's a lot of championships. That's a lot of championships. I want to receive that, actually.
I am too, because, when Brady left, that ended. When Auerbach left, Russell became the coach.
Mm-hmm.
And it continued on. The success of the Celtics continued on.
Which I think people kind of forget about, too.
Yeah, they do. Mm-hmm. I think so, too. But to me, the Auerbach-Russell relationship was the most successful in the history of sports.
Mm-hmm. That's where I think, too, and I know people are going to say, not to get off on a tangent, well, look at the talent he had. That's where I think Phil Jackson, is one of the better coaches. Yes, he had Jordan and Kobe, but what were they doing before he got there? To be able to harness all that and get it going with a lot of those egos. Lakers, too, same thing.
Yeah.
Shaq and Kobe. But, yeah, I'd probably go with that. That's a good one. Way to put some effort into that one.
But, I mean, there are great relationships. Phil Jackson and Michael Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
You can't deny that. And there are other ones as well.
Because if Phil comes back that final year, Jordan's back too, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And Jerry Krause, I think Jerry Krause cost the Bulls another
maybe 4 in a row.
Yeah, maybe at least one.
Yeah.
But it's been fun to watch these guys through the years. I think the Phil Jackson Michael Jordan relationship was better than Kobe and Shaq and Phil Jackson.
Yeah.
Because I don't think they had as much talent as the Lakers. Because the Bulls had Jordan and Pippen, but and
Crazy Man Rodman.
Great. And he had talent to do one thing. Play on the defense,
rebound and agitates Karl Malone.
Yeah, and kind of the predecessor of Draymond Green, but a whole lot better than Draymond Green. But there have been some great duos or great teams that have led from the coaching standpoint and the player standpoint. But Auerbach Russell has always been, to me, the king
That's
of
a
the
very
mountain,
good one.
king
And
of the mountain.
I think it's it tends to get forgotten too.
Mm-hmm.
It really does. So
And you look at Auerbach, he made his talent. He had the Jones brothers, Sam and Casey, and you had Bill Sharman and Bob Cousy and guys like that were great players. But they played as a team. I mean, that was fun basketball to watch.
mm-hmm.
You know, and Russell wasn't a scorer.
Right.
Russell was a defender. He could score if he had to, but
he wasn't the biggest guy, and he had to go up against Will Chamberlain and all that.
He was only 6'9".
Yeah.
You know.
And averaged over 20 rebounds a game, I think, or something like that. I mean, it's ridiculous. Special
talent he was, that's for sure. But Auerbach, I don't think gets enough credit as a coach. And, you know, back then he'd light that cigarette on the bench.
Yep. Cigar, yep.
He'd light that big cigar when the game was over. As soon as he thought the game was over, he'd light that. Sometimes I think he lit it in the third quarter.
This was a few years ago. It was right before Russell passed. I think it was at the Hall of Fame. Yeah, I think he got an award or something like that.
Yeah, he did. What was that? A humanitarian award or something like that.
And there was 4 centers on the stage. You remember this? It was like Dave Robinson, Dikembe, rest in peace too, Alonzo Mourning, and I think Shaq. And you know, Bill's up there in age at that point, so he's up there and he's like pointing at each one of them. I'd kick all of your blank. Just, you know, it just busted everybody laughing there. You know, he was the smallest one out of all those guys too.
And you look at the Lakers, you know, after Russell, you probably don't remember him, Dave Collins.
Oh yeah,
he was a left-hander, came from I think Florida State. He was only about 6'9", but he played center, and they won championships with him at center as well. So you know, it's great history in some of that. Boston's got I think the best basketball history of any pro team.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really good. And then Larry Bird, the Chief, Robert Parrish, Kevin McHale, Johnson. I mean, the list goes on and on down there. You have any more?
No, that'll do it for now.
That's all you got?
Well, I think 3 of them. That's
I thought you only did 2.
No, I did 3.
Did you do? Oh yeah, you're right. So, okay, receive or defer. Jair is more important in this game for his availability than Jordan Love.
I'm going to defer that.
Yeah.
Because Jordan Love is the leader of that team.
Yeah.
Jair isn't even the leader of the defense in my mind.
Can we, by the way, stop with the whole quarterback controversy talk in Green Bay that people are trying to manufacture out there?
What? Quarterback controversy? Jordan Love's a starter. There's no question about that.
But there's like, maybe Malik should be playing. Or I'm like,
well, if it's injury, I mean, you can't play him. If he's only 75, 80%, you can't play Jordan Love.
And it's like,
because their defense gets after him, and he can't move. You can't play him. He can't defend himself.
Let's just be happy we have a backup quarterback that's playing well. We don't need to make it into.
I hope not.
You know, but
that's way out of bounds to do that. Jordan Love is a starting quarterback. If he's physically able to play, he should be playing. I mean, it's nice to have a luxury of Malik Willis like last Sunday, but he's not the starting quarterback.
No. Receiver defer. The Packers will make a trade by Tuesday.
Knowing the Packer history,
Goody's been active this year a little bit.
But I'm going to say they will.
Ooh.
I'm going to say
got a position in mind?
I think it has to be a pass rusher. It has to be.
Yep.
If they make a move, it has to be a pass rusher.
Yep.
And, you know, get somebody that can play and is playing at a high level right now, and give up a draft choice, because let's face it, your draft choices haven't been all that good lately.
Don't give up the first rounder, because the draft's in Green Bay. You can't do that.
No, exactly. No, I'm not saying that, but give up a third and fourth rounder for a guy like that. I mean, if some of these guys are being traded that were first round draft choices in the top 10, and they're being traded for third and fourth and fifth round draft choices, you can get some of these guys.
Yeah, this I mentioned this on Monday, but this is pathetic in terms of some pass rush numbers. So edge pressure percentage, minimum 115 snaps. There's 61 players who qualify for this. Okay, so pressure percentage, 61 qualifiers. 3 of the 4 Packers who qualify for this are in the mid to late 50s out
Yeah.
of 61.
Disappointing.
Preston Smith's 54th, Lucas Van Ness is 55th, Kingsley Enagbare 58th, Rashawn Gary 23rd out of 61.
Yeah, it's been
Yeah.
disappointing. We've talked about it before. Rashad Gary, I thought by now would be stepping up and be talked about as an all-pro. Van Ness, I thought he would be coming on. I was hoping he was going to be a J.J. Watt type of player.
Mhm.
Not even close.
I got one more receiver but I'll save it for the back end or
Sounds
for
good.
for past the top of the hour here. So, all right, 2 in, 1 more to go. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. Final hour on this Thursday morning. Happy Halloween, everybody. If you're going to be taking the kiddos trick-or-treating tonight, be safe, have fun. If you're going to be driving around, pay extra attention to all of our trick-or-treaters out there, too. And don't be skimpy on the candy. And everybody go to Bob's house because he's got the big candy bars.
I'm gonna.
Yep.
We used to do that. We had a friend of mine, his dad ran a grocery store. So, but back then they were candy bars. Now that are $1.39 a piece, or were a nickel or a dime. So we used to go there, and then we go home and change costumes and go back again.
Nice.
But fun. Kids are having fun, and let's let them have fun.
Yep, definitely. So, and if you go out, make sure those kids are maybe bundled up too. Hopefully the weather rain wise and that holds off.
Yep.
So hey, before we get back to receiver defer, I want to mention this. Speaking of kiddos, there's a really cool event coming to Chippewa Falls in June at DeRay Field. Hudson's going to be there, signed him up. Jaden Reed, Packers receiver, is going to have a youth football camp.
Good.
And at Chippewa Falls DeRay Field, June 12th. I just posted it up on my Facebook page if you want to sign up for the camp over there. But be cool. Ages 6 to 16 for the kiddos over there. So,
boy, that guy has really come on. Whoever expected him to be that much of a difference maker when he was drafted out of Michigan State.
Wow.
So
a lot of fun. I know he's Hudson's new favorite player. So yeah, that'll be a lot of fun. Been kind of talking back and forth with the people from over there. So going to be in June, right after school's done with for those kids.
Good time. You bet. Go there and then go play Little League Baseball or whatever all summer. And
yep, definitely.
Have a good summer. Hey, speaking of Packer receivers, and I don't know if it ever came out or if I just missed it. Did they ever say anything about why Dobbs was suspended that week? They never. Okay.
No.
I thought maybe I missed it, but
there was a report that he skipped out on like we talked about that, but we don't know the reason why he decided the full-on reason why. So, but yeah, it's been
looks like he's come back and fully participating. There's no offshoot problems, so that's good.
Exactly. Yep. All right. Speaking of Jaden Reed and Dobbs and those, my receiver defer was receive or defer is Tucker Kraft, the tight end, the most dangerous offensive weapon or most important offensive receiving weapon for Jordan Love right now?
No,
because
I don't think they use him enough.
You don't think they use Tucker Kraft enough?
No, I think they should use him more because I think he could be that guy, but I don't think at this point the way I know they're using him, but I mean, I just think he could be used more creative ways.
Of all pass catchers in the league right now, Tucker Kraft, just receivers and tight ends, Tucker Kraft is averaging the best yards after contact per reception, 10.6 yards after contact per reception, first among all pass catchers in the NFL. I'll defer my own too because I just think Jaden Reed, they use him all over the place.
And I think Kraft, if they were more creative, Kraft would be even better. You know, you look at Kelsey with the Chiefs, and you know there's so many creative ways they get him the ball from where they line him up and this, that, and the other thing. And I think Kraft could be on that level.
Well, I think the one difference though too is that Green Bay's got other guys, whereas Kansas City just has Travis Kelce. But they do a good job of getting him the ball over there. So,
and so if they've only got Travis Kelce, then you got to give Andy Reid that much more.
Oh, I do.
I'm that creative to get him the ball
exactly
when they don't have the wide receivers.
It's mind-boggling why teams just don't sit there and all right, just 3 guys on him and not let him do anything.
Yeah.
But that's the credit to the Chiefs and Andy Reid for continuing to do that for whatever reason.
But I'm deferring that because I think he can.
I love me some Tucker Kraft though.
Oh, I do.
That guy.
I do too.
And this is what I appreciate about him. So like when Malik Willis is in the game and you know it's going to be run heavy, you can leave him in there because you know you're going to get a good blocking tight end in there too. And he's going to do that dirty work all day long. If you need him as a receiving threat, he'll be a receiving threat over there too.
Perfect Green Bay Packer.
Exactly. I loved that run and catch that he had. It's like just shoving the defense back away over there. He's awesome. Luke Musgrave got a lot of the attention last year and the hype and all that, and I hope he still pans out. But Tucker Kraft is developing into the overall tight end right now.
And I hope because I think Kelsey is as good as he is because of Mahomes. He's right now, and he's anticipating things before they happen. And I don't think Jordan Love is I know he's not to that level yet. Love still has to see the thing open up. Mahomes knows or anticipates it's going to open up, and he gets the ball to that spot. And Jordan Love isn't there yet. So I think it's more on Jordan Love and the offensive coordinators than it is on Tucker Kraft, because I think Tucker Kraft, like you said, could really be that much better than he is already.
Yeah. Next few, I think right now, if you had to power rank your pass catchers, is the top two, receiving threats or options, is it Jaden and Tucker for you?
I would think so. Because you look at him, Dobbs is good.
Sweet catch on the sideline. He had that last night.
Watson, good, but I mean, they're not high quantity receivers. They can make some big plays, but they're not high quantity receivers. That's why when you look at Detroit, Amon St. Brown, you look at some of the pass patterns he's running, they're pretty darn creative to get him open. It's not like it's a down and out or a down and in, which seems to be, some of the plays that a lot of teams have. The Packers are getting more creative with their wide receivers, which I like to see. But you watch the Lions, and they're very creative in how they get him the ball.
I'm just kind of looking at, okay, so Jane Reed was top 10 receiving yards, but it's kind of gone down here a little bit. So he's got 507 receiving yards here so far for the Pack. Romeo would be next for receiver. Where's Tucker on here? I'll have to look for it later over there. But yeah, I really like both Jaden and Tucker. I think for second-year guys, that draft last year is looking even more spicy.
On offense.
Yep. So I like it. I like it a lot right now. Yeah, the Lucas Van Ness one's a lot to be desired right now in the first round pick from last year.
It is. But... And I think, let's face it, Jordan Love's been in the league for a few years, but he hasn't played. So really and truly, they're all second-year players. Reed and, and Love, they're all second-year players. And when they get to their third, fourth, and fifth year together, they're going to be that much better.
One rookie, though, we should note, I didn't mention it yet, but he got named Defensive Player of the Week, not Rookie Defensive Player of the Week, overall Defensive Player of the Week. Edrin Cooper was named the NFC Defensive Player of the Week from his play last week. Get him more snaps now.
Oh, absolutely. I think they will.
I hope so. Get him out there.
I mean, it's
first start was last week because Quay was hurt.
And it's fun to see him. He's at the play before or as it's happening. He's not chasing the play like Quay Walker has a tendency to do. This guy seems to have more of a nose for the football than some of those other guys that are on the defense.
Well, he showed his speed off running that seam route to break up that pass to Christian Kirk, who's a wide receiver.
Yep.
Unfortunately, Kirk got hurt and broke his collarbone on that play when Cooper landed on him. But to be able to have that linebacker who's able to get back that quick and, get Edrin Cooper, I think they will too. And Eric Wilson's actually been playing really well at linebacker too.
You're right.
So,
and I think that's taken some time away from McDuffie too.
Yep. So I think Hafley's finding out who fits where. He's getting more comfortable with his players and finding it out too. But Cooper, definitely that guy. I love watching that guy play too.
Is Walker still out with the?
He's back, and LaFleur already said he's starting this weekend. So, but
starting doesn't mean you're going to get a lot of snaps,
right? So, but get Cooper out there more snaps for the rookie. I like that guy. I like that guy a lot.
Oh, so do I.
So, boy, is he fast too. I think he's their best tackling linebacker too.
He very well might be.
Him and Eric Wilson to me have been like two of the more maybe consistent linebackers for this group.
Oh,
and I don't know what their new guy, Jamin Davis, who they picked up off the practice squad. I know their linebackers coach, Anthony Campanelli, yesterday already singing high praises, saying you can see why he was a first-round pick based off practice today. I don't know. I'm setting the bar low just because I don't want to, former first-round pick from a few years ago. I don't want to set that bar and like next week he's gone already. So I'm setting the bar low. I hope it's a low risk. I like the move because it is a low risk. Hopefully it turns out to be a good reward there. You look at what Washington wanted him to do earlier this year. They tried to make him a defensive end. He's like 230, 240.
You can't do that. No.
So, but I wish we could get more insight. His linebackers coach from Washington these last couple of years is actually a Medford, Wisconsin native.
Oh, really?
Mr. Steve Russ was the linebackers
Okay.
coach, but now he's back at Air Force because coaching changed. So he's back coaching because that's where he played college ball too. So I got to find out if I can get him on and get some insight on
Yeah.
Mr. Davis over
Yeah.
there. So little connection.
Yeah, it'll be receiver defer. The Packers will put emphasis on line play in the draft this year.
Oh,
both
they need
offensive
some
and-
pass
yeah,
rushers,
and
definitely.
defensive.
So, but
But
yeah.
you can't, I just don't know him. And Van Ness is probably a wonderful kid, but he didn't start that much for Iowa, and he was a first round pick, and it just befuddles me to why he was picked where he was.
Right now, is it receiver defer? Looks like Tarzan plays like Jane.
Yeah, I think he's trying hard. It's just he looks like he's out of place. He looks
Because
like
he
he's
looks like a
confused,
physical freak and
Oh,
like
he is.
Hercules and that. But
but he's just not getting the job done.
yeah, I'm not sure what's going on over there, but that's definitely. And I know their their defensive line coach was asked about it because we had some assistant coaches talking yesterday, and it's typical coach speak, but did acknowledge we've got a job to do, and that's they obviously got to get better in that department. So, especially in a game like against Jared Goff.
When they answer it like that, they're telling you that the kid's not doing what we want him to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they're saying.
Like C-Bomb had mentioned a little bit earlier, Goff has been amazing. We have to get after him. Last 5 games, he has 18 incomplete passes and 12 touchdowns. The team has more touchdowns than incomplete. Did you see that graphic that's been floating around? That's how good this offense has been playing. The team has more touchdowns than incomplete passes in the last few weeks. Think about that.
That's why I say I can't pick the Packers to beat the Lions.
So, yeah, I would agree. Especially if Jair's not playing and Evan Williams, their rookie safety, is not playing, who's been awesome, you better be able to get after Jared Goff, because if you can't, he's going to pick apart.
And they've got one of the best offensive lines in football.
Yep.
I mean, they went after, when Campbell came in, he went after those positions that were not all that good. And he built that offensive line and defensive line.
Mm-hmm.
He went for players that he needed. He wanted them to play right now. He's not going to be drafting and developing. He's drafting and playing. And that's what the Packers have lacked on defense with their draft choices the last few years.
Mm-hmm.
Rashad Gary, a first-round draft choice. He didn't start. Lucas Van Ness, first-round draft choice. He didn't start. I mean, it just is a difference in the philosophy between the two franchises. And right now, Detroit's making hay with their philosophy under Dan Campbell. He came in and he said, "We're gonna do things differently. We're gonna kick you in the teeth. We're not gonna back down." And I mean,
you're gonna bite kneecaps. That's eat kneecaps.
Whatever. And he's gonna, they go for it on 4th down in some of the craziest situations, but they've been successful that way. I think it cost him a chance to go to the Super Bowl last year with some of the decisions he made in that championship game. But that's the way he coaches, and his team is all 100% behind him.
I was going to say, because it was what, a year and a half ago when they were off to a 1-6 start, and there's people like, okay, Campbell's on his way out. They changed it. His style is you need that buy-in from your players, and Detroit buys in.
Oh,
they
no
100%
question.
buy into that
You
philosophy.
bet they do.
They don't. That's a quick out over there too, but give him credit.
He's building a roster and has built a roster that's in your face. He's got 2 running backs that we talked earlier. He's got 2 running backs that'll run right over you.
Mm-hmm.
If it's either run over him or run around him, they'd rather run over you than run around you. And they hurt you. And that philosophy is working.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting game. I'm pretty darn nervous about it, but
I am too. And if this defense doesn't tackle, Montgomery and Gibbs, they'll have 100 yards.
I think
each.
they had a season high missed tackles against Jacksonville was the last number I saw too. So
there's a lot of those Ole tackles. Just wave at them.
Roger Dorn, Ole.
Yep.
So, but golly, yeah, I would, if they can get this W and then go into the bye week with that, boy, feeling pretty good about this team.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Feeling
'Cause
really
then
good
it
about
gives-
this team.
Then it gives Jordan Love that extra week to really
Mhm.
heal up. And when did he start going last year after the bye?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the thing too is with this offense, and Kraft mentioned this after the game too last week. He kind of called, I don't want to say called out his offense, but he kind of called out his offense, and he's right. Like in that game against Jacksonville, and we've seen it earlier in season 2, if they would just stop getting in the way of themselves and stop making stupid mistakes, this offense would be so much better.
Oh, there's no
They're
question.
top 5, top 10 in a lot of categories, but I think we've seen enough games now. I hope where it's like there's still more. If they stop with the stupid holding penalties or stop with the drop balls, here
Sounds
and
like the
there.
Badgers.
Yeah, but at least Green Bay's still winning.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
But that's where it's like you'd feel like, golly, they're still there. They're close. They're almost there. Still a little bit left. So
yeah, they are. They're so close, and that's what I said. And we've talked about if Gary was a little better, if Van Ness was a little better, if Quay Walker was a little bit better. These are all number 1 draft choices, and we've got to hope that they get better. They should be cutting edge. They should be turning that defense around, and they're not. That's the difference between the Packers and Detroit right now. They've got more hard-nosed players than we do.
Speaking of the Badgers, before we get to Jake here, I know you were at the game Saturday nights. What were you feeling like at halftime when you guys were up, when the Badgers were up and thinking, oh, Penn State's getting their backup quarterback coming in here? Were you feeling pretty good? Feeling nervous?
Well, no,
excited?
I was feeling good because I didn't expect them to be in that position at halftime. They were ahead.
Mm-hmm.
And then
what was the environment like? Pretty.
Oh, they were excited. I mean, the crowd was, for the first half and most of the second half, they were into it. I mean, they held Penn State on 4th and short, 3rd and short, and they stopped them. That's the best I've seen the defense play in quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
But then, and I said, sitting there, we were talking, I said, you can just see they've got better athletes. They're faster. It's just a matter of time. And we have, and, he's a kid, he's trying hard, and I hate to say it, but I will. We've got the worst quarterback in the Big Ten.
Okay.
We do. I mean, he's the worst quarterback in the Big Ten. That pick 6 that he threw was the most unbelievable throw right down the middle. The receiver he was trying to throw was 15 yards behind that guy. I mean, that guy was the most surprised guy in the world because he was just standing there in the middle of the field all by himself. And the ball came to him, and he just ran it in for a touchdown. This Locke is not a good quarterback. He is not a good quarterback. He's got bad feet. He's inconsistent. He's just, and like I said, I hate to say it, but I'm trying to be honest. We've got the worst quarterback. If we had a decent quarterback, we'd have won that game. And we got wide receivers that, they don't catch the ball in tough situations. So, it's right now against Penn State. It wasn't the scheming because the coaches had them ready. Coaches' schemes were good, and for this particular game, it was a talent void against Penn State. That's why they're number 3. They've got talent that we don't have, and until he can recruit a few more, and you were that close to beating the number 3 team in the country, but you've got to have guys at the skill position. Penn State's quarterback that came in the second half, why he's not the starter, I don't know, because that kid is good. He gives you legs. He gives you a good strong arm. He's a smart quarterback from the plays that he made. The Badgers have to get better at the skill positions. There's no question. And then our left tackle had big plays. False start, 79. Holding, 79. It just, it's the bad things happen at the wrong time, but it's a talent void right now at Madison.
Staying with the Big Ten, can you cheer for a team like Indiana?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I remember when last time Indiana was this good. It was 1967, I believe. They had 3 players that were good, a quarterback, a wide receiver, and a running back. And they went all the way to the Rose Bowl that year. That's the last time Indiana is been good, and that's a long, long time. That's a bigger void than the Badgers in the 70s and early 80s before Barry Alvarez got there. And no, I can cheer for they go into a game 2 weeks ago. Now their starting quarterback isn't here. They're playing Nebraska. Their backup quarterback's in there and beats Indiana like 49-6 or something.
56-7
or 56-7 with a backup quarterback. And there's no way in the world the Badgers are going to do that. They've got Iowa this week.
Wisconsin does, yeah.
Yeah. At Iowa.
I'm looking at Indiana schedule at Michigan State this week. Then Michigan. I hope they're undefeated when they face Ohio State for that second to last game.
Yeah, so do I.
I really hope they're undefeated, so they've got a shot to.
Yeah, I do too.
To do that. Yeah, I can root for a team like Indiana.
Oh, absolutely.
I can't root for a team like Ohio State or any of those guys.
No.
Indiana, sure. For football, why not?
Yeah.
Basketball, no. But football?
But football, yes, absolutely. But, Penn State, Ohio State this weekend, I don't know who's going to win that. Penn State was very beatable. The Badgers could have, very beatable. We could have got Greg Bolig back to the quarterback. We probably beat him.
Yeah, that's got to be the best game of the weekend. Number 4 Ohio State at Penn State too, so it's at Beaver Stadium.
Yep.
Over there. So it's 11 o'clock kickoff one.
Yeah, it'll be an early one. It'll be a good one, that's for sure.
Yep. So definitely.
And I don't know how good really and truly either one of those teams are, because I was surprised. At the end they kind of pulled away a little bit. Our defense got a little out of position and things like that, but the Badgers were with them. The Badgers played them, toe to toe until Locke threw that pick 6, which was, if you had picked the worst play of the year, that was it.
Yep. All right, we got to take a break, and then quick outdoor tidbits with Mr. Jake Boakes as we are approaching November, deer gun season as well. Lots to catch up on with Jake. We'll be back here in just a couple minutes. Looking for to help you succeed in the outdoors. Have a specific model and brand in mind? With the awesome customer service you get at Tilden Gun, they will help you find just what you're looking for. They're not going to be a pushy salesperson and try to convince you to buy something that you don't want. But if you're looking for advice or help, they're right there to lend that hand. So stop by their shop at 12427 98th Avenue in Chippewa Falls, or visit their website at tildengun.com. Welcome to hunting season in the great outdoors. Well, the fall sports season is in full swing right now. Are you a little banged up, or have you suffered an injury that you need to get checked out? Whether you're a high school or college athlete or a weekend warrior still playing the game you love, injuries happen. But just know the team at Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine are there to help you get back into the game. You're treated with top-of-the-line care, and they are with you and explaining every step of the process with you so that you know and understand what type of care you're receiving. Hey, start feeling better. Visit cvosm.com to get started.
Hey guys, not sure you heard the big news. Newsmax just filed to go public. Newsmax is big, and they give you the real news. Even Reuters Institute says Newsmax is now one of the top U.S. brands, and President Trump says Newsmax is terrific. So get more info on Newsmax's planned IPO. You may even be eligible to buy preferred shares in Newsmax now before any IPO. Find out more. Go to newsmaxinvest.com. That's newsmaxinvest.com. Forbes says Newsmax is a news powerhouse. You can become a co-owner today. Go to newsmaxinvest.com and make sure you consult with your attorney or financial advisor. Investors are responsible for conducting their own due diligence for any investment and for tax and other risks and obligations. Check out newsmaxinvest.com now.
Wherever Jody Emerson goes, someone's sure to call her by name.
Hey, Jody! Jody, what's up?
Jody, come on in and have a seat.
I'm Jody Emerson. The Chippewa Valley's been home for generations.
Jody, hey!
I live on the same block where my grandparents built their house.
Oh, hey, Jody.
I'm so proud to represent you in the Assembly, working to improve our health care and lower costs for families.
Hey, Jody, how's it going?
Hey, good to see you.
Yeah, likewise.
But Michelle Magadan Skinner, an extremist Republican focused on banning abortion. Michelle Magadan Skinner wants to join other extremist Republicans trying to ban abortion in Wisconsin, with no exceptions for rape or incest. They're pushing a law written in 1849 that would put doctors in prison. Michelle Magadan Skinner is too extreme.
I'm Jody Emerson. I'll work to stop abortion bans and deliver for our community.
Paid for by the Assembly Democratic Campaign Committee as an in-kind to Jody Emerson for Assembly.
What makes Dairyland seed corn different? The right stuff. More options to help you fight corn rootworm pests. A variety of hybrids with an advanced combination of above-ground pest control and herbicide tolerance. And a ton of other options supported by direct access to agronomy experts who will help you get the most out of the ideal seed for your Midwestern acres. The right corn for you and the right people by your side. That's the Dairyland Seed difference. Meet our 2025 lineup at dairylandseedcorn.com.
Voice Guy here, bumping into your programming to remind you to subscribe to the Man Cave Podcast. New episodes uploaded daily, and it's available on your favorite podcasting platform. Now back to your regularly scheduled programming.
This deer season, if you have any luck and you're not sure where to take your deer processed, go to our good friends at Mike's Star Market on the west side of Eau Claire. You can also check out their Facebook page for all the details, prices, and options to get your deer made into maybe some venison bacon, steaks, whatever the case may be. All the details are on their Facebook page, or you could just stop by their shop and talk with Mike and Sarah and the crew over there too. And don't forget, Mike Star Market is also your deer donation site. So if your freezer is full and you want to donate your venison, Mike Star Market is your place to drop off that deer and to donate that deer. As we talked a little bit about last week with Mr. Jake Boakes, who joins us now via the telephone. Good morning, sir. How you doing?
Morning. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. What are the kiddos going? Are they going trick-or-treating tonight there, Jake?
Yeah, so they've had a couple of parties at school, and they're both dressed up as race car drivers.
Race car
So they got the full jumpsuit. Like my son's got a blue jumpsuit. My daughter's got a pink one with some racing style hats and such. So me and my wife are dressing up in all black and being the pit crew for them.
Nice.
Well, you dress up in all black every day. That's nothing new for you.
It's funny. It's not much different. It's just a different shirt that has a flag on it. Otherwise, it looks like I'm just going to work. You're right.
You're taking your taser and all that equipment you wear on your vest and belt.
We'll see how everyone's behaving.
Good answer.
Have
Good
fun.
answer.
Have fun.
Hey, Jake, we've had a couple people wanting me to ask you this, and it's been in the news the last couple of days, the invasive carp that's in the Chippewa River. And I know our news lady, Morgan, did a story on it too, but maybe you can give us a little bit more details about it and like the process surrounding it a little bit, like if you catch one or such.
Yeah, so I read through the press release as well. I've been aware of it throughout the summer. The press release does a good job of laying out the timeline. To be frank, I'm a little surprised it took so long for them to do a press release on it. I think they wanted to just verify everything for sure. But the carp were seen jumping. The first time we were notified of it was like through an Instagram video of someone that was like up here trying to catch them from like Iowa, and then that kind of sparked everything. And they've seen them jumping a lot below the Dells Dam, and then to be honest, they kind of disappeared, and they really haven't seen much of them. Not that they're not there potentially or this or that, but they've only seen a couple. They haven't, I think, collected like a live one yet. Just using their transducers and different stuff that they have in the river with tagged fish. and finding one skeleton of one, they were able to kind of confirm that they made it up through the Chippewa River and the Black River a little ways. So the big thing is what to do, like you just said, when you get that one, if you think you have one. So the state law doesn't allow anyone to transport them or keep them or introduce them or, buy them for food or whatnot. But it does allow an exemption that if you catch one and you're fairly certain it is one, you can basically kill it and then put it on ice and bring it directly to a DNR service center or contact like a fisheries biologist or a warden. So the big thing with that is that there are a lot of native carp and different fish in the river that even myself can't identify, a buffalo versus, a traditional native carp or this or that. So if someone's going to keep a fish out of the river, that they should do a really good job of making sure they try to identify it before just, killing something and bringing it to the DNR service center.
So Jake, what maybe one question people were, how did they get here? Or was it just kind of, traveling different bodies of water and such?
The high water this spring is what it was. So they've been in the Mississippi River for a while. I saw something in some paper somewhere at some time this summer about how they've been, like, some DNA samples. They found, like, the silver carp, they found DNA samples, like, in the Mississippi River, like, 3, 4, 5 years ago, but they haven't, like, identified any or found them. But they found the DNA in the water. And then in the last year or two, they've kind of identified some further south on the Mississippi. And then with all that high water this spring, I talked to some people or some biologists across the state, and some of them, I asked, like, how or what we can do. And they said, unfortunately, it was only a matter of time. Unless there's there's something that 100% restricts access to moving up the river, it's only a matter of time before any fish, will move through the water. So, like sturgeon, we talk about sturgeon a lot, how they go from, the Mississippi or the Chippewa to the Mississippi to the Kinnickinnick or all the way down to Missouri and stuff like that. And it's the same for these invasive carp. So unfortunately, it was just it was just a matter of time, and that high water is what I think was able to push them all the way up this spring.
What's invasive about them? Why are they, maybe a threat, or what? I don't know if that's a proper word to use or anything like that. But
No, it is.
okay,
They're a threat because they basically, the ecosystem, there's a chain. Like, all the animals have over, thousands and hundreds of thousands and millions of years have found a way to balance each other out. And whenever you introduce new species, sometimes that new species flounders and fails, and sometimes they're just so well adapted already that they outcompete all the native fish. So in this case, this species is way more adapted to surviving different water levels, water conditions, temperatures. They eat more, they produce more. It's just like, it's like me going to the gym to play 5-on-5 basketball and then Michael Jordan going to the gym. Michael Jordan's going to beat me 9 out of 10 times, maybe 10 out of 10.
I was going to say 9 out of 10 times there, Jake. Yeah.
Hey, I always want a little bit of hope if I'm going up against someone better. So it's just like, they're just a better species at competing for forage or spawning or just overall surviving in the water conditions. And I don't know how they are when it comes to winter. I don't know what really cold winters do to that species. We have a invasive species program which would have all that info. So if anyone is really curious, you could Google like Eau Claire DNR invasive species, and there is a DNR contact that you could reach out to and ask questions or talk with.
Sounds to me, Jake, like these carp, with how robust they are, over time they could be a threat to our game fish, whether muskies, northerns, whatever the case may be. Is that the right thinking?
Yeah. I don't know, like exactly which species would flounder first or have a hard time or get outcompeted first, and how it would affect this and that. But you know, at the end of the day, you're right. If they get up here enough and spawn enough and live here enough, it's only a matter of time. I'm sure we've all seen the videos of the Mississippi further south where
Yep.
you go driving on your boats and they hit you in the face because they're all jumping out of the water. And that would be a very unfortunate day if you go down to the Chippewa Dam and it's just, you know, silver carp jumping everywhere.
What would it take to take extraordinary action for the DNR to be approved by the state or whoever to take immediate action? I mean, over and above to shock these fish. And I'm sure if you can do it, there's probably some plentiful, like you said, down south, those videos of jumping out of the water. I've seen them. They're terrible. To get rid of these things, I mean, you got to take desperate measures because
Right.
if we don't have a fish population here, a domestic game fish population that brings people up here,
Right.
what would it
Yeah,
take to do that?
You know, I wish I had a good answer for you
Yeah,
on that
well,
one.
I'm sure you
That's,
don't.
I think that's like the, you know, $1 billion question. You know, I've seen down in Illinois, they've done like electro fencing where they
Mhm.
basically electrocute the water so fish, like an electric barrier, so they don't get into Lake Michigan, which is extremely expensive. I know we have like an investigative warden that specializes in this stuff, and he went down there and toured that and took a look at it. This is years ago, but it's just one of those things, unfortunately, like sea lampreys when they were introduced into the Great Lakes. It's one of those things where unless there is just a wall or something that 100% completely separates this water body from that water body, it just nature seems to find a way. I don't mean to take that from Jurassic Park, but it seems to, you know, no matter what all your efforts are or this or that, you know, it takes 1, 2, 3 fish to get through a barrier or a barricade, or, you know, people think they're dead, they throw them on the side of the river and then they flop in and make it somewhere else. You know, you never can know, which is the hard part. So luckily up here, the Dells Dam and the Altoona Dam fish cannot pass between them. There's 0% unless a human helps them. So they shouldn't get north of or upstream of either of those dams. So, you know, the Chippewa and the Eau Claire should be, even if they get thick up here, should stay relatively free of them as long as people don't introduce them.
Jake, really quick before I let you go here too, I know we're getting closer to deer gun season. I know DNR, I've got the email yesterday, you know, with reminder with dates and tips and such with the deer gun season too. But also, deer are starting to get a little bit more on the move. I mean, I've seen bucks down my street now. It's getting to be that rut time, so they're a little bit on the move here. Are you noticing that too?
Oh yeah. Well, I think if you look at the side of I-94, you'd probably see that they're moving too. Unfortunately,
Yeah, I went down to Madison last weekend. There are plenty of carcasses.
It is littered with them, so which stinks, and that's how discussion for a different day. But the deer are definitely moving. I've seen tons of pictures. I've seen pictures on my trail camera of bucks chasing does. Been working a lot of nights and stuff like that, and seeing a lot of bucks just with their heads down following does. So it's definitely that time of year. It's, you know, the quote unquote rut. It's going to get more cooler and more, you know, fall like temperatures the next week. So I'm sure that will help. So it's looking good. You know, it's a good time of year.
Mm-hmm.
And quickly, it's hard I'll just throw a PSA out there. I know it's hard for everyone to like talk to each landowner around them and stuff like that. But just a reminder, there's no exemption for you to track a deer that you wound onto someone else's property, and there's no expectation that they allow you or that their numbers are public record. So I've been texting a couple of people just this morning who shot a deer last night. They're trying to track it, but they can't get a hold of the people that live in Milwaukee and Racine, and you know, I can't find any phone numbers for them and stuff like that. So unfortunately, that deer is probably going to have to just sit there and die, which is extremely, like I said, unfortunate. So if you can at least try to get phone numbers of your neighbors, you know, in the summer or before the season, so you have at least a number to call and have that conversation, it's going to be very beneficial for your hunt this year.
Hey, before we let you go, I just saw this article. I know you're familiar with it. This up in Siren, the bear attack on the dad and the 12-year-old kid that shot the bear to get him off his dad. We've had some unbelievable bear this year. Big bear.
Yeah.
What's all of the easy winner last year made them
Yeah.
fatten up?
I haven't talked to the biologist this year. I think we talked about it a while ago, but I got the numbers a little early. They're not official yet, but it looks like we hit the quota and then some potentially. I think one of your listeners was nice enough to find that giant boar that was shot, and send us the news link to that or whatnot. So I wasn't wrong. Some woman did shoot a pretty big bear this year in western Wisconsin.
Well, it's about 800 pounds or something.
It was a monster is what
Yeah.
it sounds like. But I think to your point, I think it's probably just a totality of the circumstances. The quota system where we're not shooting too many, but you're letting the population rebound each year. The mild winter where the bears were able to go out. The influx. I know there's not a lot of deer up north and this and that, but there is a lot of food. There's a lot of berries. There's a lot of prey for bears. So I think just like a totality of everything probably put itself together. And I didn't end up hearing how the acorn crop was this year. Like I knew it was good at the beginning. I don't know if that kept going or whatnot. So maybe if there was less acorns, or at least they didn't fall as heavily, maybe the bears hit the baits a little bit more. But whatever the case, there's a lot of bears shot and a lot of big ones.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because I've got a trail cam that sends photos to my phone, and look, Bob, right there, bear this morning walking through,
boy, yep.
right there. So
Oh, really?
yeah, still walking through. So
That's pretty cool.
yeah, I can't. I got the video on there too, but I can't watch the video until I get the memory card. So we'll see how
Sure.
big it is over there. Jake, we appreciate the time. I know you're going to be coming in studio here in a couple weeks as we get closer to that deer gun season. So we appreciate the time. Be safe out there, and we'll catch up with you again soon. Okay.
That sounds great. Thanks for the conversation this morning, guys.
You got it. There you go. Jake Boakes, conservation warden for the great state of Wisconsin. Quick break, and we've got some picks and predicts, and we'll wrap up things here this morning. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. Time to do some picks and predicts brought to you by the Elbow Room. And the Elbow Room is having a Halloween party this Saturday with a $50 bar tab. Going to the winner, assuming for best dressed costume. So, Bob, just go as yourself and you probably win. So,
Probably would. Scary as can be.
Exactly. So, Elbow Room located right next to the Banbury Place in Eau Claire. You're looking for a party to head on over to this weekend. Go visit our good friends at the Elbow Room. We only got 4 games on the NBA schedule for tonight before we pick the Bucks one. Let's do the other ones. Houston at the Mavericks at Dallas.
Dallas.
I'll go Dallas too. Let's go the Spurs at Utah. Utah Jazz.
Not familiar with Utah Jazz, but I'm going to take the Spurs because I think the Spurs are just going to continue to get better and better and better.
I'm going to go, I know the Jazz are favored, but I'm going to go with the Spurs here too, and it's only 1.5 point favorite there. So Phoenix at the Clippers.
Phoenix.
I'm going to go Phoenix too. So, but yeah, that San Antonio and Jazz one. San Antonio's 1-3, Jazz 0-4, the only winless team so far in the NBA at this point. And then we've got the Bucks at Memphis. Milwaukee is favored by 6.5 points.
I'm taking Memphis.
All right.
Until the Bucks start playing defense. Ja Morant might go off for 100 points. You never know. Until they start playing defense, you can't outscore everybody every night.
I'll go Bucks. I'll be optimistic on this one for once. So I'll go Bucks.
I'll be rooting for the Bucks, but
I'm gonna go. They'll pick up the win tonight. I don't know about. I mean, then they got Cleveland in a back-to-back. So that one, Cleveland right now is 5-0, the only undefeated team in the East. They're off to a really good start so far. Only 2 teams so far undefeated in the NBA: Cleveland and OKC, Oklahoma City Thunder. So Indiana just knocked off Boston the other night.
I was watching that game in overtime. They had them down by 18 points in the fourth quarter. Boston came back, and then Pascal Siakam made a 3-pointer in overtime and beat them. But Cleveland's got a nice team.
Yep, they do. They really do. So that's about it for our picks and predicts because we can't do the World Series anymore, for crying out loud. That's in the books. And oh wait, we got football tonight. What am I talking about? The big barn burner, Jets and Texans, man.
Texans.
You gonna go Texans?
Yeah, one of these games, though, Rodgers is going to come out and throw for about 400 yards and 4 touchdowns, but I don't think it's tonight.
You know what? I'm gonna violate my own rule because in our Pro Football Pick'em challenge on our website, once I make the picks, I don't change them. Because when I do, I lose. And I did it this year once, and I lost that game when I changed it. But I'm going to violate it. I'm going Jets tonight. I'm going with the Jets tonight.
Sooner or later, they got to play a decent game because they haven't, it's not only that they're not all that good. I mean, their defense is picked to be one of the best in the league, and they're not.
Nope.
Aaron Rodgers has got Devontae Adams now, but they're still not putting many points on the board. So one of these days, you would think they'd break out of it. He hasn't used the relax statement yet, but
nobody said we got to embrace the darkness.
Whatever that means. Hey, did you see? We were talking to Jake here. Are you done with all that stuff?
Yeah, I was just gonna say part 2 because Texans. Stephon Diggs is done for the year. Nico Collins isn't back. No receiving options. I'll go Jets. So.
Okay. Yeah. Well, this should be a game the Jets might be able to win. But the story about bear hunting in Siren, did you see that where the 12-year-old boy saved his dad's life?
Yeah, I think you were gone that day when I talked about Jake with that a little bit. Yeah.
I was just reading that article yesterday, the day before. Man, oh man, that had to be scary.
Right?
Oof.
Golly.
Shot the bear. They went after it, found it. He was about 8 feet away and attacked him and got the dad down. And 12-year-old kid had the wherewithal to shoot the bear. Oof.
I know.
That had to be.
Thought wasn't there a news story not around here? Wasn't there Hunter was just found and was killed by I saw it on one of the news websites that I was.
Yeah, be careful out there. Those are wild animals.
Yeah,
they're fun to look at. I mean, different people I see post on Facebook, farmers bear running across the sows with 3 cubs running across the cornfield as they're harvesting. But again, they're wild animals.
Especially with the corn. I mean, I've seen videos too where they're harvesting the corn and you see all these bears just running out of there.
Oh yeah.
I've seen some crazy video, and then they run right back in and they get run back out because it's the turnaround.
You bet.
So they're still running around out there obviously because they're up on my trail camera.
Yep, there's going to be there's a lot of them out there, so do be careful because I don't know when they'll hibernate. Probably
it's gonna get colder.
Well, I mean, will they hibernate before the gun season?
Depends on the weather, I suppose.
Yeah.
What it's going to be like. So, all right. Have fun trick or treating tonight. Handing out the candy there, big boy.
I got to go get
that.
some. What kind should I get? Snickers, Milky Ways, peanut butter cups.
See, I'm allergic to peanut
Joy?
butter, so I can't have any of that.
Oh.
All you just listed right there, I can't have that. So I'd hate your house.
Oh man.
Yeah, don't do that.
What can I give you? An apple or an orange? Did you when you used to go to those places and they give you an apple or an orange or where you had a toothbrush?
All right.
Think, what kind of a gift? What kind of a treat is that to get?
Mhm.
Oh, but you think about it now. But
Well, now you can buy. They've got.
What about M&Ms? You could eat M&Ms.
Oh, yeah,
Packaged M&Ms.
You can buy. They got football and basketball. I haven't seen the baseball ones. If they have baseball ones, pack of Halloween cards with football players and
Yeah, but that you
basketball
can't
players,
afford
so.
to give that out to all the kids that come to the house.
There's like 80 packs for $20. Some of the candy is expensive out there too.
Well, it
you
is.
know,
It
so
is.
It's only like 3 cards per pack.
Oh
but-
well.
yeah.
That's good.
All right. Happy
Enjoy it.
Halloween.
Do it safely.
Yes. Happy Halloween, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow to wrap up the week. Have a good rest of your day.